Hello everyone. How are y'all doing on this fine Sunday chill day today? Hopefully well. If I sound a little rough, it's because of, I'm just rolling out of bed. No, yesterday, I think I pushed myself a little hard yesterday. I think I need to apologize. I might have been a little short with some people, so I want to apologize for some people yesterday. But basically, yesterday we had a double stream, right? Hey Ratty, welcome in. How are you doing? Hopefully well. Building any more Lego dinosaurs? No, we pulled the double yesterday, which was a really good time up until I want to say like 3/4 of the way through the evening one. I got a knock on my door about our heater blowing cold air, and we kind of had to like figure all that out. But the gist of it was our heater was just trying its best against the cold weather and was fighting an uphill battle. But we're good. We're warm. We're still good. You just put up Dino Fossil Hunter. Hell yeah! Actually, I've never played that game. But I've seen like a lot of stuff with it, and it seems like something that I would have gone absolutely feral over if I would. Like, how you doing, Ra? How you doing? Welcome in, welcome in. Just slowly get into this day. It's kind of scuffed, but it's good. Yeah, but sometimes scuff is part of the charm, you know? That's just kind of the whole thing, you know? But yeah, no, today, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. There's a couple things that are on my mind, and a couple of things where it's just like, well, it would be nice to have. I think moments to like think things through. I think that's where I'm at mentally. Just kind of sitting here being like, well, because like the last few times we've been doing Sunday chill days, and we've been doing art that we were making like the emotes on stream, which I've been really enjoying, right? It's been a good time, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. But there's a part of me that's just like, well, what if we kind of turn it to a little bit of Sundays or days that we work on other stuff? But it makes me kind of go to the other end of like, am I just trying to be productive during my rest time again? You know, I have a tendency to do that, make everything about productivity and all that, and not properly kind of like, hey, this is just a chill, relaxing time. Let's not try to make this like another opportunity to get stuff done. But I got myself some Coca-Cola. Some food has already been prepared, but I wasn't able to eat before, but I plan to dip into that. I would probably say during our first ad break, I might go grab that, get some food. But, you know, I anticipate planning on doing that. But, yeah. What's on y'all's mind for today? What's been rummaging around in there? I guess for me, my mindset is set on like, well, what are some of the stuff that I would like to see more, like things that I've been kind of holding off for lore reasons, that I'm like, we should probably have something in place as a temporary stand-in until we can get that in lore reasons, similar to our emos. Playing Vellum with a friend, just chilling as well. Hell yeah! Hope you're having fun. Hey Astral, how are you doing? Gonna work on working out the bugs and the mod I'm working on for Adventure Story. Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Yeah, feel free to use me as background noise as y'all work on other stuff or play with games or play with friends. We celebrate lurkers up in here, I'll tell you that much. It's so much so that we have the emo for it. But yeah, no. It's been good. And plus, like, the last week or so has been kind of, well, not, yeah, no, it essentially has been this last week, has been kind of real crazy, at least on the YouTube side of stuff, with that short kind of bringing in new people. So welcome in, everyone. Fresh eyes seeing this. And thank you, Colt of the Lamb, for being like, well, I didn't really have to do anything extra here. It just kind of happened. And that's wonderful to see, right? And one of the things on my long list of things that I want to end up doing, I really fell in love with the adventures of Evantris and how they kind of reintroduced the idea of like animated shorts. So like parts of me just want to like go back and just animate some of them, like some shorts that we've done in the past. And the first one that I wanted to do was that Cult of the Lamb short. Yeah, like it's been so, it's just one of those things where it's just like, it would be so much fun. Yeah, they're like, but like they're yeah, I listened to, is it Legend of Evantris? I forget which season it was, but it was one of them. Because I do like a handful of other things. If you don't know who they are, I highly recommend getting acquainted. It's a really good time. And like I know people who got like the box, like they're like box full of like extra goodies and their like monster manuals and stuff like that. It's good. Want a taste of the madness? Yes. Choose your side. Who will you side with? The zombie horde or the duck armada? One of the first interactions that I've ever made for a redeem, and it was beautiful. It's definitely one of my more prouder ones, certainly. And now I have to be prepared, putting Mama Dodo back in her place because this is a broken one. Let's see. Why can't I interact with you? Oh, okay. There we go. Ready. It's ready. Get ready. Who will win? Hold. For the ducks. It's completely tied, and Mama Dodo didn't get taken away. So that's straight up broken. I was supposed to be carried away. Why didn't it carry me away? Oh my gosh. What happened? They did. I blended in to the surrounding environment. They didn't know. They couldn't know. Oh my gosh. There's no way you haven't seen the war. You haven't seen the war, Redeem Piranha? That's crazy. That's honestly crazy. That's we've had that for so long. Yeah, what was supposed to happen is that when the Ducks win, I get carried off into, basically if either one wins, I get carried off onto the side of the screen. For whatever reason, it didn't work this time. Yeah, I guess so. It must have been. But regardless, yeah, that one's really fun, and one that I definitely plan on having, just in a different form as we move forward with things. But yeah, like that one's an oldie but a goodie. But yeah, no, how are you doing, Piranha? How are you doing on this fine day? I'm just kind of slowly waking up with some caffeine. I have things on my mind, so I kind of want to do something that will allow me to have like that flow of consciousness, try to think things through, having priorities, etc., or just kind of like going through it, mulling through it, but not just actively just sitting here, right? Like doing something, like it's like the idea of mental fidgeting. You know what I mean? It's the having Minecraft gameplays in the background during storytelling. You know? Oh yeah, praise the Dark King. Man, hopefully Dark's doing well. I know he had trouble for a long while as far as his sign-in on Twitch, so hopefully they managed to figure out that. If you remake it, you could make it into a Dino Stampede. I could. Well, the biggest thing was like this idea of like the Duck Armada and how they were fighting off against the infected dinos. So it's kind of like it became like its own little thing. Summon Stampede. Exactly. And I think there might be like maybe little like commands like that, like PTDK, that's just like some. It's not listed anywhere, but is something that if you know, you know. Oh God, panning Mama Dodo with the hand costume was so funny. Ah, nostalgia, dude. Love it. Waterline at work is frozen. No! Y'all didn't drip your faucets, did you? Thanks for the pets as always. Granted, we've been having to do that for a while now. And it still did? That's wild. That's honestly kind of crazy. Like, actually. Oh, 7. How cold did it get where you're at? Our faucets have been dripping for the past week. Yeah, honestly, same here, Australa. I'm like, listen, I'll let my guard down as far as the weather when I stop having to drip my faucets. 9. Ah, does that include wind chill? Because where we're out, it's windy, and the wind chill is bad. Oh, I wanna. There's so many extra stuff that I want to do. Like I want to have a little. I don't know. I just want to have more visual and interactive, like things happening when y'all do things. Better feedback, I think, is a good way of putting it. We had a -10 straight up the other night. That's crazy. Really? That's wild. Is that wind chill or was that base? Oh, what do you want to add, Ratty? What do you want to add? We put these pipe downs, put them above ground. So, oh, excuse me. Sorry, I'm having a Coke, so that's I might be a little gassy. Kujajara? Kujajara? I hardly knew her. What the hell is a Kujajara? Let's see. Let's look. Kujajara. Kujajara? Dinosaur? Oh, Kaiwajara. Okay, I see it. Hold on. Let me share my screens just to confirm. This guy, right? Big man, big crest. But yeah, no. Like, how are y'all dealing with the frozen pipes? Just means you can leave early. Well, that's good. Pterosaurs are great. The fact... Oh, random fun fact, by the way. Did you know that the Quetzalcoatlus have a unique walk that is unique to them only? It's pretty interesting. Because the reason they have a unique gait is due to the fact of how big they are. They go like left arm, left foot, then right arm, right foot. Where usually it's like alternating between left and right. I forget, like, it was a whole, like, paper that I read about it. Because I wanted to get more information about the Quetzalcoatlus. Because I'm a nerd. And... yeah, they really do. Oh, how is Jurassic World Evolution 3? Pterosaurs is just kind of crazy in general. Agreed. Idealis has a whole arm in the Armada for pterosaurs, by the way. So that is in there. We have a backup pump so we can still get water. Just got to go outside. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm extra sorry. All right, let's go ahead and get this on the list of adding to the blanket real quick while we have that fresh in the mind. Because your boy do have scatterbrain. Indeed. Okay, let's see here. Stream notes. Here we go. And then we got Kaiwa Jara. Hell yeah. You're putting yourself on here? In what way? Talk to me. They also redesigned the Deinonychus to be feathered. Ooh. Do exclamation mark blanket for me. Let's see. It should be up to date. Let's see. I don't see Diplo. Okay, let's do. You want Diplo? Diplocalis? I don't mind in the slightest. Hell yeah. Diplocalis. FYI, if you have no idea what's going on, this blanket. Ooh, the boomerang head. Hold on, let's look, right? Let's look these up because looking up dinosaurs is fun. Diplocalis. Yeah, we're bringing the boy back. I remember he was also on the first one, which, by the way, don't worry about repeating. It is absolutely fine. I'm anticipating multiple instances of specific dinosaur. It was in the first one. So again, for those who have no idea what's going on, this is the dino blanket. I honestly forget when it started, but I made a blanket for Mama Dodo that I made a redeem that made it so that it was just a blank blanket that people can just put their favorite dinosaurs on there. And the idea eventually grew to a point where I was like, cool, it would be kind of neat if we made this as like an annual blanket where it's like year one, this is what the blanket looks like, and then it's like people can buy it and then own the blankets depending on the year, and then it would be different every year because that would, and then you would have like multiple cool dino blankets of like different things that people have requested, and like there's the dinosaurs that you recommended on there, and I think that's really cool and fun. So I also tried to get the dinosaur right on the blanket for the funny, but I just didn't want to spread misinformation. Yes, there was a moment in which we were definitely getting to like, I had a decision to make of, do we want to strictly have it be prehistoric creatures, or is it in anything that is like not alive? Because also Slenderman was requested at that time, as well as the Dinosaurid, and it was kind of one of those things where it's just like, okay, where do I stand on this with the blanket? Do we want to kind of go crazy with it? And I went more conservative in this aspect of like, no, let's just stick with prehistoric creatures. Because even what was the Pokemon? What was the Pokemon that y'all wanted to do? It was even like prehistoric Pokemon that I was just like no for, because it was in that weird gray zone where I needed to pick a side on. It was like King Star or something. I forget the name. Lord Helix. God, I hate my brain. It's always adjacent, dude. So for those that don't know, have y'all seen Adventure Time? If not, great series, great series. It was, again, it falls under that group of animated shows that are really, really good, but was technically past the age that I would have watched it as a kid. But I watched it as like a teenager / adult and loved it, right? And there's this demon cat in Adventure Time, where it was the demon cat of approximate knowledge, I think is what the name of it is. And basically it's a they are omnipotent, but approximately omnipotent. So they know everything, kind of. Like they know it's like you're behind here, but they're next to them. Or it's like Fade the human. Oh, my name's Finn. He almost got my name right. Like that kind of deal. I'm cursed with that. My brain switches words and like it just kind of like my whole brain is a Mad Lib all the time. I have to fill in the words all the time. It doesn't fill in for me. So I'm going to mix things a lot that are either close through proximity in understanding or sounding or something like that. And that's just part of who I am as a person. So know that if you see me do that a lot, that's why. It's not a bit. It's just who I am. I don't know what it means. Hopefully it's not anything bad. I think it's just a little quirk that my brain does. It's just who I am. I'm a basic bitch and stand Velociraptor. Listen, there's nothing wrong for standing for Velociraptors, okay? There's nothing wrong with it. There is no bad favorite dinosaur. Or prehistoric creature for that matter. Period. I will defend you on that. One of my tabletop characters from an urban fantasy settings, Velociraptor Shapeshifter. Ooh, that's so cool. She did it for desperate bid for grad school funding, but got kicked out for ethics violations and used her powers for thievery instead. That's so cool. That's so cool, Estrella. Oh gosh, that's so funny. Oh man. Oh, right, we should probably add our little boy to the list. Oh, I already did. I'm also forgetful. Which doesn't help. Doesn't help in the slightest. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking let's do, I don't know why this is the case for me. Peak for me is such a relaxing game. Especially solo. What if we just talk and think our thoughts and kind of mull over things while we do some solo Peak? It is, yeah, it's one of those games that's just so it's so seamless for me that it's just like doing some Destiny strike list. Oh, for those that don't know, I used to play Destiny all the time. I think I had like 1,500 hours between the two games at one point. And I had this thing where I had what I called Destiny workouts. So the old Destiny, what they had was a strike playlist where they had like a list of missions where it would take about 10-15 minutes to accomplish, and it would be the same missions every time for rewards that you would need to grind for. But, you know, everything felt so smooth, and then as soon as you're done with it, it would just put you back on the playlist, and then you just play another one. But the first Destiny loading times were like really long. Like a solid 5 minutes of just loading, right? So what I did, because I liked to play Destiny to just kind of unwind, because regardless of how you feel about Destiny and Bungie and all that other kind of stuff, their design for gun like shooting is like second to none. It feels amazing. Like the whole thing, the active shooting was great. There were just some other aspects to it that didn't quite click with me after a long time of playing that game. And so what I did was I did a strike, and then during the loading screen, I would do like 15 push-ups, essentially what we do in during ad breaks. Well, I haven't been doing them lately, but I didn't tell you that. But between each strike, And I would do push-ups, I'd do crunches, I'd do squats, and then I'd do another strike, and then I would do that like 4 or 5 times in a row, and it helped me get into shape. So it's just kind of one of those things. So I like I've been missing like mind-numbing games in the sense of being able to unwind that way, but especially nowadays, I just don't really. There's more that I want to do. I want to do less. Right now, my desire isn't turning my brain off. My desire is to make the things I want to make. So I can't devote myself to super grindy games anymore. It just doesn't. I've been grinded out. I'm too old. I've been ground down to the bone. What can I say? But yeah, no. I mean, we also missed last Sunday too. So I also want to say, like, how awesome is Woolhaven? How awesome has Woolhaven been, dude? That the new DLC for Cult of the Lamb has been so great. So good. If you're considering it, seriously play it. It's so good. It's so much more than I thought it was gonna be. I really didn't think it was gonna be as much as it's solid, and it's tough. It's tough too. Like, we really struggled with that final boss. We still haven't beaten it yet. I'm hoping that we continue on, we could potentially find a way to get stronger in some way, because, like, damn. And I really want to build out, like, they introduced ranching, so now I'm like, and then we learned about the snail thing that gave seeds, and we ate essentially grass for like multiple days in a row because we only had grass, we didn't have seeds. So the fact that the snails can bring out seeds is cute. The ichor fleece. Okay, I'll have to check it out. I mean, I love the gamba of the 4 card, which is why I always go for it. But, you know, it's cool. Gives you 4 cards to start. Exactly. I like the gamba. I just do. But yeah, no, it's these have been really fun the last few weeks. And for those that have missed me talking about this before, in another few weeks, there's going to be another thing that we're going to do. The details are still a little, like, under wraps because they haven't finalized everything. But we're doing another fundraising event. Or a charity event, not fundraising. Fundraising gives a different thing, interpretation. It's gonna be for Valentine's Day, stream for charity. Hold on, let me make sure that I got that name right because my brain is stupid and I hate it sometimes. Stream for a cause. I knew it. I knew I was gonna get it wrong again. Stream for a cause is the people that I worked with last time for Halloween for Pumpkin. For Valentine's Day, they're doing a event. Actually, you know what? We're just looking. We're just gonna look at it. What was the event name? It was a week of trans love. Basically, it is a charity that helps people who don't have access to gender affirming care to get to places with gender affirming care, like getting them to states that they can actually get the support and resources that they need in order to do everything they need to do. So I'm planning on having a fairly busy week the week after Valentine's Day, trying to do more collabs, trying to do extra stuff. I haven't figured out what all the details are going to be, but you know, I just want you to let y'all know that that's up and coming in a few weeks or so. So look forward to that. I don't really know what I'm gonna do. I don't really know what kind of costumes I want to do. I know I'm gonna have to do something, and what kind of incentives I want to give y'all to donate to the charity. I don't know. We'll see. But You know, I myself do not identify as trans in any way, shape, or form, but I have, you know, friends and I want to show my support in any way that I can. So, you know, and you know, there are people in this community that, you know, that identify as such. So, I want to show my support as well in any way, shape, or form. So. Just something to put on your radar. Nothing that we need to deal with today. But I don't want you to be like, what did this happen? So, all right, get this minimized. We're gonna go ahead and switch over. We're gonna still keep it as just chatting, by the way, because we are. Even though we do love to yap during most games, but again, just like every Sunday chill day, we are just vibing. We're just, y'all are the focus for Sunday chill days usually. To at least I try to. All right. Is the music too much or too little? Let's see here. Let's try it off for a little bit. Where am I? Who are you? Right? Exactly. Play offline. So, those who have not played Peak, it's just a mountain climbing game. But it's a little bit goofy, it's a little bit silly, it's kind of tough, it's kind of not. I already have beaten this by myself multiple times. I'm just that awesome. This is what we look like. And yes, this is how I also look in real life. Third eye and everything. I mean, it's a good time. It's fun. Let's see here. What badges do we want to get real quick? Let's see. I like to at least get 2. Honestly, you want to know something funny? There is a life lesson that I learned from playing Megabonk that is very applicable for me and my struggles, which is trying to do too much at once, basically. And by doing too much at once, you just burn yourself up and then you don't get accomplished of anything. So we just want to do... Oh, there's... Place 10 batons. So we can't do batons and then don't leave anything. If it's a desert day, we could do astronomy. Hopefully it's a desert day, because there's a handful of desert ones. I managed to actually do the cold one, which is crazy. The cold badge is you have to get to the top of the cold without getting above 25% cold, which was very difficult. We could try the Gormand badge, but that's gonna be very hard. Looks like let's do batons and rope. We're just gonna try to get to the end by just placing a whole bunch of stuff on the ground. So basically, how the baton thing worked was, or not the baton, the Megabonk thing worked. We're gonna make this on Tenderfoot because we're gonna be doing solo. This is just a vibe. We're not trying to get anything like crazy. I was trying to, for those that don't know, Megabonk is similar to, is it Vampire Survivors? It's a, you walk around, you kill guys automatically, you get upgrades that kill guys more quickly, and then you try to survive to the end, right? And we already got you. In particular, there was this thing where I wanted to like get as many unlocks as possible. So I would go Vampire Survivors. Yes, thank you. So I would go and I would be like, cool, I want to do the sword. And then, oh, I also need thorns, so I probably need armor. So there was also an armor one that I need to get to level 12. So we'll do armor and thorns, but I also need this sword one that I need kills for. And also I need this fireball. So I would do like 4 or 5 and try to get them as much as possible. And because none of them were synergetic with each other at all, like, I essentially had too many things in too many different places and proceeded to, like, just straight up, like, die. And then I didn't get any progress in anything. And I'm like, oh, right. I should probably just pick, like, 2 that kind of synergize well with each other. So, because 1 doesn't feel like enough, right? Accomplishing 1 thing at a time per run doesn't feel good. But doing 2 feels good, right? So trying to find a good balance between what feels right and what doesn't feel right, as far as, like, there's a line between not enough and too much. That's important to find out for yourself, right? Hey, Shadow, welcome in. We're just talking and vibing while we're just doing a solo peek. That's what we're doing. we're just chillaxing. How have you been? How was your day? How was your week? I'm just gonna be yapping and talking with y'all. I'm doing okay. I'm doing good. It feels like I have a lot on my mind, which is why I'm just kind of, like, extra yappy today. Because, like, part of me wants to do, like, art and continue on our emotes that we've been making, right? We've been really enjoying those. I've been having a good time. We've been actually, like, been able to knock stuff out, for the most part, that I haven't been able to knock out before. By the way, I'm thinking middle, and then we just kind of zigzag down here, go up that way, and then go up that way. But yeah, so, like, there's so many things that I feel like need to be done. I'm alright, still tired, which is really annoying because I went to bed early, but oh well, what can you do? Did you sleep maybe too much? Because that's the thing, especially if you start, if you like to have a consistent sleep schedule, you going to bed earlier could be just as detrimental as going later. You know what I mean? Like, like, your brain is just like, whoa, this isn't the time to sleep. And a lot of people misunderstand as far as the way your brain wants to sleep, in which it's not like, okay, time to turn off the brain. There's, like, a specific time that your brain is expecting to go to sleep, and if you skip it and or miss it, it's not something that you could just pick up again, right? It's not something that you could just be like, okay, we missed it, just go to bed an hour later. Interesting. Okay, so you slept only an hour or so more than usual. Well, maybe the quality of sleep was hitting you. Maybe it wasn't, maybe something interrupted your REM sleep. Or maybe you drank or ate something. That's also something. Or maybe you could have just slept wrong. The human body is wild. But for the most part, it's the, it's similar to, like, if you miss a bus or a train, there isn't a new one. It's like, yeah, after I pass 2:30, I'm fully awake after. Yeah, it's you have to wait for the next cycle. You have to wait for the brain to, like, get back into preparation. It, like, resets, right? Okay, definitely you. It like resets itself. So it's if you don't sleep, let's say I go to bed at like 2, right? Let's say I go to bed at like 2 a.m. If I miss 2 a.m., I'm not going to bed till, like, closer to 5, 6 o'clock. There is no 3 a.m. sleeping. There is no 4 a.m. sleeping. There may be 5 a.m. sleeping. But, like, but around, like, 1:30, I'm pretty tired. I could pass out around, like, 1:30, 2 o'clock. But then as soon as I miss it, I miss the train. I miss the bus. The ticket is gone. I now have to wait for the next train, and that sucks. It's not great, but that's just kind of how the brain works. It's kind of weird like that. However, I've also met people. There are people in my family that literally can just pass out whenever, wherever they want. Doesn't matter what they're sitting in. It doesn't matter anything. It's just what they just clock out in like 10 minutes, and I'm like, what superhuman power gives you the ability to just sleep however, whenever you want? It's wild, right? It's honestly crazy. But yeah, no, it's I hope you get some rest, you know? Because like it sucks feeling sleepy, but it sucks extra more if you feel sleepy after sleeping too much, because then it's just like, well, how do you fix it? It's like getting soap stains in your clothes, and you're like, well, what do you wash out with soap? It's soap. What do you mean? I'm thinking trying to go more that way, maybe. Like a nap or timid anomaly, right? Actually crazy. Like, actually nuts. So for like an hour or so than usual, just because normally I get like 5 hours. I just wanted to become more functional later, right? Right? And I have heard, as far as there are like, what do they call, like super sleepers or whatever, where they only need like a couple hours or so. Ooh, this is good. Let's have some of these. But at the same time, it's hard to say, you know? It's hard to say as far as what is and what doesn't feel good, because sometimes you feel absolutely fine, and then it turns out like oops, I have been slowly destroying my brain for the last like who knows what. Right? I'm not a napper though. Naps have always been one of those things that just don't mesh well with me. I can nap if I really force it. Like sometimes I know I'm gonna be like super late. Yeah, naps are for me more often than not a sign of like what's a good way of putting it? It's more of a sign of I'm not feeling well. You know? It's a sign of I need recovery. It's the same with like tea. I'm not a tea drinker. I do not like tea yet. I haven't had the right tea yet. And there's a special, you need to have that kind of mentality, especially as a recovering picky eater like myself. You need the mindset of like, oh, you just haven't had it the way you want to have it, right? And I've met people who are professional nappers. I know people who love to nap. They absolutely love to nap. And to be fair, for the longest time, for a lot of people, the way that sleep has been done is that you would have 2 sleeps. You would have like a 2-hour nap, you would wake up for a few hours, and then you would sleep for 6 hours. So if you're more of a 6-hour, 2-hour kind of person, you shouldn't feel like weird about it. Like that's been normal for a while. It just hasn't been normal in recent, you know, whatever. I could function stupid little sleep. I've gotten better at work and then even no sleep. Catch me later, just offset the downside a day or 2. Yeah, right? Okay, so what we're gonna do when it comes to this, we should at least have one on us at a time. Okay, we'll just do this. We'll have one on us at a time. And then we'll place, any more we get, we'll just place immediately, because we need to place 10 of these. As well as ropes as well. Ooh, that one's also really good. Do we have any other healing? I have protection. I have that. I have that. We'll keep the shelves. Shelf is usually really good though. But yeah, now when it comes to naps and stuff like that, I also function pretty well. For me, I've noticed when I'm sleep detriment, that's when I'm a lot more creative. My creativity really blossoms from lack of sleep, which is unfortunate. If I do the next time I end up sleeping, I'll sleep for like 12 to 15 hours, not healthy. I mean, that's how I was for a really long time, especially when I was like a young adult teenager. I would have essentially a sleep debt during the week, and then on the weekends, I would sleep for like 12 hours. I mean, that's just how it was. And when I was in college, it was I would sleep for 4 hours, I would sleep between 2 to 6 in the morning, and then I would go to class and all that stuff, and then at 2 in the afternoon until dinner, I would sleep again. So I would have like 2 4-hour shifts throughout the day. Oh, that's a cure-all, baby. I don't need this. That's a cure-all. Let's go. Actually, you know what? We'll do this. Okay, good. Oh, ooh, okay. Let's put you here, so you don't roll off the mountain. Yeah. And then get you. And then put you here. Perfect. For those that have no idea why I did this, I have balloons in my backpack, so balloons make your backpack lighter. If you didn't know, you know that now. Checkpoints. We'll hold off on that. Granola bar. We'll just cook it. We'll just cook as many different things that we can cook. But yeah, can you cook cure-all? I'm not gonna attempt it. But yeah, no. When it comes to sleep is so weird, dude. Sleep is such a weird phenomena. Oh, we on roots, huh? It was like, that's why your brain looks like cotton syrup all the time, so now you try not to. Yeah, especially if your doctor is like, hey, you probably should not do that. You should probably stop doing that. Boom, boom. Some healing if I get hurt. Yeah. Honestly, the balloons is taking up a lot of space. Oh, what's this? Did I not finish this already? You just need a nap. That's hilarious. After what we've been talking about for the last, like, 10 minutes? Hello, do you hear me? Is this thing on? What the hell? I just saw a pretty sight. A beautiful moon-shaped fruit surrounded by fireflies. I feel so relaxed now. Maybe a nap wouldn't be so bad. That's crazy. Holy crap, dude. What the hell is... what the hell is even that? Let's do this. There you go. Boom. For those who are just like, but you need that to climb. Not a lot of times you don't need it. As long as you know the path, you should be good for the most part. Food will get you though. Food will if you don't have enough food, you will die. And that means in real life too. The HDs, but the sleep schedule, the lack thereof, it was not helping. Yeah. I mean, there's some things as far as like, oh, you need to make sure there's no screens, you know, or a lack thereof of screens. Oop, whoop, whoop. If I'm here, they can't blow me away. Hee hee hee. Ever since we've been playing the Goblin game, I've been like the sticks, like the shards of night or whatever it's called. I've been doing that a lot. I don't know why. I really don't. I'm just like, hee hee hee, look at me. It's like Scam Likely from Dungeons and Daddies. For those that don't know, that's another D&D podcast that I listen to that is also very good. Ooh. F you, spider. I forgot that the spider was in here, not gonna lie. But very funny, very good. Scam Likely is the inner monologue of my goblin, as well as some of my friends who are able to do a very good impersonation of it. Next time you see Kit, ask them to do the Scam Likely. Good voice. It's very, very good. This one we actually should do. Honestly, we don't need it. We don't need it. We built the city. But yeah, no, very good podcast, very good. The season 1 was really good. Season 2 I think was worse than 1, but it's still good. Still very worth the listen in my opinion. Season 3 was definitely more up my alley because it was like Cthulhu like adjacent, and I love that kind of shit. In case like my eventual lore videos and stuff would definitely relate. But definitely identify. Ooh, we'll go ahead and finish this. I would like to keep. Do I want the chain launcher more than that? That one's so. The rescue can is so base though. Do I want it more than the chain? Actually, yeah. I would put. You know what? Yeah, that's a lot. But we made our decision. But yeah, so just kind of thinking. I really should have looked at what the best way to move forward before, you know. Whee! Woo! Let's go! That's what balloons and this is so good, baby. I don't know how this counts, but we're counting it. We are counting it. Ooh, that's a mandrake. Or the potential mandrake. You used to be able to pull that while you were climbing and it won't scream, as long as you had slots in your thing. But, not anymore. Not quite the cutscene, but I see the appeal. I like it a lot, but, and this is a big but, I think it needs a, what's the word I'm looking for? It needs something fresh. Why was I flying, basically? This level has, like, severe winds. Whee! Uh-oh. And I have balloons on my head. So I'm very, floaty. That's an oopsie daisy, but you know what? We're here. See? I don't take fall damage because of the thing. We're on a peak, and I would just keep hitting the same stuff right as you mention it. That's funny. That's funny. We need ropes, and we need pitons. We need pitons. Oh, I think I hear a zombie. Zombie, zombie, zombie. Such a good song, by the way. And their bombs, and their guns. Plus, I had a pretty good message, too. So, you know, I was a fan. Let's see here. Oh. Grab just in case. But yeah, as far as that's been kind of rummaging around, I wanna work on some stuff, but I just don't know what to work on first. I don't know how to properly prioritize things and or structure things to make it so that it's like, cool, here's the structure in a way that will make it so that there's the least amount of mental bandwidth in order to keep up with it. That's kind of the key when it comes to making your own system. Is how can you make it so that it is as easy as pie in order for you to do it? That's what matters. Because if the more work that you put on yourself, the more likely you're not gonna do it. It ain't gonna happen. I'm thinking we kind of have to just try to run through that. Go up that way and go up that way. Oh. We might have gotten a little bit lucky here. Because me especially, because I've been trying for so long to find, like, okay, cool, I want to do the thing, but trying to get myself to do the thing that I want has been an uphill battle for a long time. Putting it all down somewhere. If my project is really big, I have to start with some sort of design document. Exactly. For me, it's like an Excel sheet. And we're gonna have to lunge. We had a little bit of energy, but that's fine. We have a lot of it. Let's use it. But yeah, no, it's just it even when I break it down, I love the breaking it down. I like making the system. I'm good. The way I put it is, I'm really good at paving the road. I'm really good at making roads. I'm not good at driving the car. Like, I can make the roads all day, every day. I can sit here and be like, I'm going to make a system that will make this work so it's super easy and super great. But then when it's time for me to do it, it's just nigh impossible. This one might be a bit tricky. Oh, I know what we can do. Oh boy, no! Oh, that was really bad timing. Oh, that's crazy. Hey, Growly, welcome in. How you doing? Hopefully well. All right, let's just eat you. And then we're gonna go ahead and take you out. Put you in. Perfect. Whee! Gut. What does that mean? Hopefully you've been doing well. Oh, that's funny. I replaced it immediately. Let's go. Oh, whoop. Whoopsies. Whoopsies. This will cure me, right? Let's see what happens. Oh, okay. So yellow is Red Bull effect. Ah! You know what? So gut. It was pronounced gut. Good to know. Thank you. I'm glad you're doing well. Anything new going on? We're just kind of yapping and having a good time. Let's actually we're gonna have you. No. Ooh. Oh. Okay, we're gonna put that back. What was I putting in here? Oh, this is what I wanted. To do that. Okay, we're fine. Oh. The ADHD curse of being really into a project at first and then really bad at finishing it. I still have Danny Phantom tabletop. That's awesome. That sounds so cool. A Danny Phantom tabletop. That sounds so cool, dude. What the fuck? Oh my gosh. My legs were shattered. Yeah. That's why I really like the milk. If you find the milk armor, it's real good at like preventing you from doing that. Okay, looks like it's that way. All right, we'll just do that. But yeah, no, we're just kind of yapping. We're just kind of putting our thoughts down, just thinking, because as I was mentioning, like there's so much stuff that I want to do, and I've tried to prioritize it in a way, but it still makes it so difficult, especially when it comes to content creation. It's very difficult to make that something that you're able to keep up with in a way while still being able to like, cool, and now I also have this other thing that I want to do. It takes up so much of your time and energy that it's like, well, shit, I have nothing left. Yeah, I have so many projects that could be really cool, but I don't know if I ever finish them. Yeah. No, I get you. But, so like, just trying to find a way to get me to do the thing is really the biggest hurdle currently. And so, we have all these extra things that we were talking about where it's like, I was going to wait for the lore to kind of like build up before I would do things. But, how are we going to do that? In which way? Because there's a lot that needs to be done. Crochet shawl I started 2 years ago, right? Which, by the way, if you end up working on it again, I would love to see progress of. I love seeing y'all's progress to things. You better not pop. Good. Too many ideas, so you start getting really into one and then another one pops up. Yeah. Recency biased. Yep. Yep, you get it. Well, it's almost, it's not even like recency bias for me. For me, it's like the story is continuing either if not, I've made it. So it feels like I missed the wave in a way. And that's frustrating. It's frustrating to be like, okay, well, this is a bad spot. This is not great. We just vibe here until the wind stops. Okay, good. Yeah, it's just frustrating. But that's kind of the whole point of us talking about it, you know? It like is letting out the frustrations of the of the creation process. And honestly, it wouldn't be surprised if this is part of the creative process. Frustrated that it's not being the way that you want to be. It's not behaving the way you want it to behave, right? It's like dealing with an unruly child in a way. Where it's like, cool. It's like, why can't you be normal? And then you know, your creativity is just screaming in the back seat. And you're just, you're like, why aren't you doing it the way I want you to do? And I think the key of solving that problem is just knowing how you tick. And what feels right, what feels good, what feels seamless. And I'm torn because for the longest time, for most of my life at least, it's been seamless. And then when I'm finally at this point in my life where I'm like really, really trying to give it a shot, it feels like the hardest thing in the world, right? So it's difficult. It's difficult to know if what you're doing, if you're just doing it wrong, or if it's just how it is for everyone. Hello, log. Ooh, this one's not bad. I have a command line interface. Hold on, I'll read that in a second. Ooh. Just in case the wind starts blowing while I'm reading it. App handler that would be super cool to use to make command line tool and GUIs. But then I started a Google storage system that would use Google storage as a kind of SQL lab or database. And then I started procedural animation, and then I started this new one for creature simulation. So it's nice to know that the people in my community are just like me. It's like, yeah, y'all get it. No, y'all get me. y'all understand. Oh my gosh, so funny. But yeah, so I have this idea of what this place, this stream, this environment is gonna look like, and then I see what it is, and I'm like, y'all have no clue what I'm gonna end up doing with this, because it looks nothing like what we're currently doing. And so a part of me is just like, well, let's make it step by step. And I think that's kind of the key. The key is like, the key of getting where you want to be is 1,000,001 steps, you know? Now all of them are in the background somewhere. I'll get to them eventually, probably, right? Okay. Ooh, we're fine. We're gonna go up there. And oh, let's get our things back. All right, but yeah, no. So like, I don't know how it's gonna go. Yeah. You're being awful. No. What are you doing out here, spider? Actually, where is the spider? Wait a minute. Oh, he's in the mushroom in the wall. No wonder I didn't see him. That's crazy. Alright, let's see here. Anyway. And then, whoop. Because I want the scenes to feel like they're in the world. But then there's like, when I went down and really tried to get into the down and dirty of it, of like, okay, what the aesthetics do I want it to look like? Do I want it 3D? Do I want it 2D? Do I want a mixture of 3D and 2D? And what kind of style is a style that I'm capable of making? Like, when I really tried to break it down and tried to make something of it, I just hit a wall. And it's frustrating, to say the least. So I don't know. It's difficult to say. But I think the first step, so a part of me is just like, do I want to even waste the time and energy and effort to make a temporary solution, whereas I could just put that in, like, it's the Duncan method, idealist method situation, the short term, long term. Why spend the time with the short term if it's just I don't know, man. I really don't. But all I can say is I don't think I'm gonna stop trying anytime soon. Can I like put this here, please? No? Okay. Hold on. There we go. There we go. We went to do the thing, and having to organize and plan everything is just so much effort, and it just becomes a bad effort dopamine ratio. Exactly. Exactly. Well, for me, I love the planning. I love the planning. I love the structure. I love building the structure. And then it's like, cool, the structure's been made. This is now seamless. Now let's get to it. And then my feet don't move. You're on a roll. I appreciate, and honestly, that's one of the reasons why I really, really like having a community that sees it all. Because you help put a perspective outside my own head. Because for me, I feel like I'm on a standstill. I feel like I haven't moved. Or I want to move. But from y'all's perspective, I've probably improved in a lot of ways. And I'm just not seeing it. And it makes it very difficult to see it. Alright, anything that we want cooked. Thank you for the pets. Thank you. Ooh, we want to cook you. Come on, we want desert. Give us desert. Let's go! We have desert! Alright, we have you. We have the cure-all. Oh, where's the... Oh, did I already get... Oh, we already did. We already got the fairy lantern. Can I, like... Perfect. Place 10 batons. Perfect, we got that. We're just gonna eat this. And then this is just on our backpack. Perfect. Okay, so what can we do? What can we do with Mesa? Mesa is no more than 10 heat. We don't have any. We could try. We could try that one, but we have no cool way of cooling. We don't. If we had an umbrella, I would consider it. Escape the island without any packaged food. Didn't do that. Ooh, yeah, perfect. We can get the astronomy badge. Excellent. We would need... Oh, we didn't get a honeycomb in the last one, but it's very hard to find a honeycomb. piton. Have a lot of cactuses stuck to me. That one I don't know how to get, but we could try. Yeah. It's pretty much just try to keep our thing down. Our heat down. And then maybe we could try the cacti. I think we need 3 of those cacti balls, maybe? That's kind of what I'm thinking. Maybe? Hard to say. Alright, let's see here. Hello, Tornado. How are you doing? Hopefully well. Sir? Sir? Don't scare me like that. So, I guess the way that I like to try to prioritize things is almost like in order of bottom up. It's bottom up. It's to why is this glowing? Why is this glowing here? Is there something here? Interesting. So if it's bottom up, what would that even mean? So like you want to work on the foundation first. Hey. 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 Back off. That's a curse test. Let's see. Oh, it's a illusion. F them. Now we could do the boring thing and wait till it's nighttime every time to start moving. And then we wouldn't get over 10. Ooh. Where's the sun? Come on, give it to me. Come on, give it to me. Give me. Give me it. Perfect. We got the achievement. We don't need that anymore. So now... we don't need that. Perfect. Blindness, speed run. I used to stare at the sun, by the way. Sunscreen, baby! Let's go! Exactly what we needed. Exactly what we needed. I love it. You're not gonna get me, Tornado. F off. Your mother was a hamster, and your dad smelled of elderberries. But yeah, something kind of ironic I've noticed about the kind of creative minds AG combo, or whatever you want to call it, is that the only good way to permanently get past is to make a system, but to do that you need motivation in the first place. Yeah. It's unfortunate. Alright, let's go ahead and eat the pigments. Alrighty, and boop. Easy peasy. We just need to be a little bit cognizant of when our sunscreen wears off. Spend more time making the system than using it to do things. Exactly. And that's tough. It's very tough to kind of figure out what works and what doesn't work for you. Because that's the big thing, is that it has to work for you. It could work for 1,000 other people, but if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't mean anything. It lasts until right now, so I don't know. Does someone want to time me? Does someone have a timer? I want to see how long this lasts. And feel free to let me know how much time. I'm thinking 2 minutes. I'm thinking it was about 2 minutes, but that's my... I wasn't really paying attention. Let me know if someone is willing to do that. Actually, you know what? I have a phone right here. Why am I asking y'all to do something? I could just do it right now. I could literally just do it. I have a timer literally in front of me. Start. Perfect. Okay, cool. Just another thing to add to checklist, right? Alright, let's see here. But yeah, so like, I like to do, because if the structure, if the foundational structure is sound, the rest kind of falls into place. That's my experience with it, right? And so I wonder... Ooh. That's very good. That's an emergency, a revive from death. That's what that is. So in this case, in the case of making stuff for stream, what is it? What is our base? What is our base? What is it that makes this? Ooh. We have one. That's fine. Oh. Whoopsie. Why did it give me the option to almost like eat it? Oh, cooked scorpion. Yummy. Anyway. And there we go. I wonder if that heals burn from the sun too, now that I think about it. Oh. 1 minute 30. It's like 1 minute 30. That's how long the sunscreen lasts. Alright, let's go ahead and stop that. But yeah, no, it's difficult. But I've said that a lot, so I'll stop saying it. So the foundation for what we're gonna do, sometimes I would say it's like streamer-bot stuff because there's a good framework in place. You can basically make everything with it. Exactly. I like the idea of being a tool maker. What is down there? What is that? Why are you glowing weird? That's probably just the sun. And a scorpion's just walking around. But for lore stuff, I don't think that applies really. Agreed. And what I want, like the story itself is there. It's just finding a way to actually make it to the extent where it exists in reality in the way that I want it to exist in reality. That seems to be the biggest hurdle, is I'm doing something very new. So, like, have you ever heard of the 15% rule? The 15% rule states that you should be, when you try to do something, it should be 85% something that you already know how to do really well, and then 15% something new that you've never done before. That's the 15% rule. Most of the things that I try to do are mostly I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I have no clue. I have zero idea. And that comes at a cost that more often than not I do not like equate to the thing. And even you know, I've been recently trying to switch, being like the first handful of tries, half the energy is spent even just starting the new thing. It's similar to like trekking. Ooh, that's perfect. That's similar to like trekking across new whatchamacallits, sorry, we also need to do a rope thing. Perfect. Oh, yeah, perfect. It's like trekking across very thick jungle. It hasn't been cleared before. So, of course, it's going to take a lot of energy to clear it. If you only move, like, a couple of meters, you've been hacking through thick, like, bush and tree and fern and bitten by insects. Like, there's so much, like, extra, like, stuff of just carving a new path. That in itself, like, that's why for a lot of, if you're align yourself with the idea of, like, the smallest, the minimum possible thing you could do to just introduce yourself to the thing, starting it up is literally, like, the first goal. The first goal is just starting. Like, no joke, I like to talk about this, where when I was trying to get back into working out. When I was trying to get back into working out, the first goal was driving to the gym. Not even like walking into the gym, driving to the gym. And the result of that, it took me a week to even do that. So I would no, not even driving to the gym. I would say the first step was getting dressed. It was putting my gym stuff as if I were to go. And there were a few days where, especially in the beginning, where I was just like, cool, I'm dressed, I'm not going anywhere. And it's like, that's fine. I checked that off my list. And then I'm already dressed, I might as well drive. Then I would drive there, but I wouldn't go in. But I drove there. But it would be a waste of gas. So I might as well go in. You know, it's little things like that where it's just, it's weirdly effective. It's weirdly effective. All right. Oh gosh. And then you just slowly build on it. You just slowly build on itself. I guess we're just not putting that anywhere. Do little things to build the momentum to reduce the initial activating energy cost. Exactly. Exactly. Each step, each smaller step that you do makes the rest of the costs work more effectively. Exactly. It's like adding a catalyst. You have scientific background, don't you? For those that don't know, I have a master's in bioscience technology. I have a science background. And unfortunately, science has not been as kind to me. You're a molecular geneticist? Ooh! That's some cool shit. That's some good shit. Hell yeah. Let's see. Let's go up here. Whoop. And we're fine. But yeah, no. Yeah, I was in pharmaceuticals for the longest time. And essentially, I got very burned out from, you know, essentially burning myself on both ends. And just being in that kind of environment is just not meant for me. In particular, just, there's so much business in it. There's so much money in it that there isn't nearly enough science. And they were compromising a lot on the science of things, that it just, in the ethics of things, that it just didn't sit well with me. Maybe it would have been better to just do... Maybe it would have been better to just do sunscreen. Well, let's take a stroll. Let's go on a little stroll. Hey, Ludo, how are you doing? What? Oh, that was my balloon popping. We could shield. We could shield. Makes sense. It makes a lot of mental, emotional energy. I work for a company that does genetic testing. Ooh! So we test people's genetics for how to process different medications. That's so nice, though. I look forward to the day when our medicines are specific to specific people through genetic specialization. I am so looking forward to that. Chemistry stuff is cool. It's like, here's some liquids. They look the same. One is water. One helps with certain conditions. One kills you with passion. And the other one gives you slightly less passion. Yeah. Yeah. I'm doing good. We're just chilling. We're vibing. Peak is one of those games that I like to, like, yap and talk and, like, be here. And so I just have a lot on my head right now. So I'm just kind of processing it by doing a mindless game and talking with y'all. So it's a very yappy kind of day. We might do some art yet later. Honestly, it just depends how this ends up. How we end up in this conversation and stuff. But yeah, like, it's I really do love science, but there's a part of me that wonders is, oh, that's another umbrella, that's funny, am I wired right for it, you know? And one of the things that I was starving for creativity. And, like, I wanted to do creative stuff, and I wanted to go out there, but at the end of the day, I didn't have any more energy left. I had nothing left beyond just sitting on a couch, just wasting away, because it took that much out of me at the end of the day. And I was like, I need to do something else, but I literally can't do anything else. You know what I mean? I was very burned out from my job. Hold on, let's see. Maybe we can go up there. Maybe up there. I kind of want to go back and get that sunscreen. I think I overestimated how good the umbrella is. It's really good for walking around, but it's not very good at climbing. I crashed out of academia with a master's instead of a PhD and ended up developing an autoimmune disorder from the stress. And after I was finished and published my book. That's so cool. So in other words, Estrala, that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of where I'm at in my journey. Is that like, you just need it. Like, it's like breathing and eating and just you just need it. And I was like, I'm starving for it. I need this, but I can't. And I want to do both, but I just can't. And so there's still that part of me. Hold on, let's see. Okay, we're good. There's still that part of me that's like, have I made the right decision? Am I on the right choice? But I have been confirmed and reconfirmed again and again from people who I trust to give me wholehearted, good, honest feedback. Like, no, this is good. If this was bad, I luckily have the support in my life that would be able to give me the alarm bells that I need. I learned Python both to help develop programs for work and give myself creative outlet. See, that's the thing too. I wanted to do that. I wanted to be the kind of guy that would make programs to make everyone else's lives easier. Like one of the jobs I was looking at is a technical artist, right? And like, I love that kind of stuff. So literally at work, I was like, hey, I'm willing to learn how to code to make this stuff for you. In fact, I'm going to make it so that our inventory auto-populates, and we spent so much time looking at inventory, rechecking inventory the third time on a weekly basis. And I'm like, come on, just let me learn how to code so we can learn how to automate this. And they told me no. They said I was not in a high enough position or in a position of that ability to be given the ability to learn and do that. And I was like, I guess we just continue to do something inefficiently, I guess. I suppose. And it was not great. Yeah. I'm like, you have someone eager to make your jobs easier and you tell them no? Get out of here. Oh my gosh. It's so bad, dude. But like, the point is I'm healthier now than I've been in a long time. And that's saying someone who has gained weight. Just mentally. And honestly, if you look at it from the outside, my situation's worse than it's been in a long time. But I don't know. A part of me is just like, in order for me to exceed, I have to be willing to put everything on the line. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm willing to put everything on the line. And by the way, the thing that I'm willing to put everything on the line isn't like, I'm going to be a streamer full time. It isn't that. Streaming is a way for me to communicate with my community. It's to talk to y'all. It's to get feedback. It's to add that human aspect to things, which is kind of ironic because I'm a dodo on the bottom of your screen. Book of Bones doesn't do anything for me. And it is just... it's a way for us to talk. But like everything else, all the videos that I want to make, the lore I want to make, the narrative that I want to tell through Idealist is the point. It's to be able to make what I want to make without holding myself back anymore. Because that's really that's what started this. What started this journey more than anything else was frustration. Not necessarily love or passion, but a frustration of wanting to do something and unable to do it, either through my own mental like walls or like burned out or whatever. It's like I just want to make it. You know what I mean? The cactuses are beautiful, right? They're so good. Oh, Ludo, do you play Magic at all? Because there is a tarantula cactus from not recent set that I absolutely love. If you have a fear for spiders, I don't think it would activate it as much, but I love the art. If you do Magic the Gathering tarantula cactus, it will probably show up. It's very good. We're adding another horseshoe crab, huh, Foxy? For those that don't know the bit, Foxy has now determined themselves to add a horseshoe crab over and over again, and with the agreement that every single instance that they do it, they're going to be smaller and smaller. So this blanket is probably going to have like hundreds of very small horseshoe crabs. Hell yeah. I'm glad, Foxy. I'm glad you got healthier. Oh, what is this? I had such a wonderful nap. When I woke up, the rest of the troop was gone. So they were around the corner. When the foolish is break rule 0 just because I needed to lie down. Oh, interesting. Cool. Hey, by the way, we didn't get above 10%, I don't think. I think we got that achievement. Hell yeah. There are going to be so many horseshoe crabs on the blanket, it's going to be purple. I know I said I'm going to make them smaller every time. I'm going to make sure there's room. Or I'm going to find a way to make the blanket double-sided and make the other side have every single one of them. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, that's also on that list. Don't you worry. Do not worry. All right, have a good... oh my gosh. We didn't do ad break. Holy crap, we didn't do ad break. Well, it's absolutely gorgeous. Isn't it awesome? Honestly, Magic the Gathering, no joke, 60% of the reason why I play that game is because of the art, the card art. My eventual goal is to be good enough artist that people would want to put it on a trading card. That's my eventual goal. That's my, like, artistic dream of, like, that's my I've made it moment, is people want to put it on a card. That's it. That's the thing. That's I don't know how high that bar is. It feels high. it feels up there. But yeah, we're 40 over doing ad break. I really apologize for people coming in and there's been pre-rolled ads. I got lost in the sauce. So we're gonna cook these. Actually, we're not even gonna cook these. We're going to do ad break now. I'm going to go outside and get some food, and then by the time y'all get back, we'll be snacking and yapping and moving forward. All right, sound good? Okay, see y'all in 3 minutes. Be right back. Take care of yourselves. Do what you need to do. This is a pretty plants too. I have Europhora trigona, gorgeous thing. I'm gonna have to Google that, actually. Be right back. I'm gonna grab some food. Hello, I am back. I am being good, and I am eating. I have in front of me little roasted carrots, some roasted potatoes, and some not sauteed, but pan. What do you cook on a pan? Like chicken on a pan. I don't know if it was roasted or not. But I got potatoes, I got chicken, I got carrots. Well, I'm thinking about it. Let's fried? It wasn't like deep fried. Maybe fried. It was like pan seared. Seared. That's a good word for it. Hold on, I'm gonna Google Euphorbia trigona real quick. Hello, welcome back. I'm Googling the cactus. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, that's so pretty. Cactuses are so cool, dude. Plus, like, I remember in science when I learned about the whole, like, the energy cycles for plants, and how cactuses and desert plants have a unique version of that cycle, specifically so they can help retain water. And then the fact that the needles are leaves. They're leaves, but they're to reduce water evaporation, they're needle shaped. And just, it's such a good, excellent example of how amazing adaptation for like plants and animals is. Oh my gosh. She was right, that is a little dry, but it's still good. His name is Robospire, my only male plant. I had to pay tribute. Is there a particular reason you only have one male plant? Not necessarily, I'm not calling you out or anything. I don't know if you just have a preference. Or if that's just kind of how it ended up being. Or if there's a reason, like crossbreeding or something. So, I don't want you to... I don't mean to call it out or anything. Let's see here. We just need this and this. Perfect. What about you? 2 access, a heal, and then some food. Honestly, I think we're good. And give me the... Go ahead and give it to me. There it is. Pass Mesa without 10% heat. We got like multiple things, dude. We're so good. All right, let's see here. This one we have a decent amount, but there we go. We've refilled our food. We're good to go. Sweet. But yeah, what were we even talking about? I step away to get food for a split second, and now my brain's just like, cool, new brain, who this? I swear, dude. It's crazy. Potato. Let's see. Left doesn't look good. Kind of a wild big spire in the middle there. I guess right? It kind of looks like middle, and then there might be a guy on the other end over there. I really like succulents. They range from lively to what the fuck is this plant, right? Or this plant is real. Yeah, it looks like it would be middle. It looks like we have to go around the spire. Lithops, because the French, the noun plant is feminine. I like women names more. That's true. I also like women names more. I wish there was more... What's the word I'm looking for? Beauty when it comes to male stuff. Because there really isn't. At least from my experience. And that's why I like a lot of times, like most of the time, I play women in games. Because it's just like there's more, there's just better stuff. There's just better stuff. But I also deeply love Robespierre, one of my favorite historical figures. Oh wait, what? Who is Robespierre? I apologize if it's like super, super famous and I should know that person, but I've also am not good at history. And I'll use the excuse that I'm from a different dimension more than you think I will. For both, like, finding things on maps and history. It's about to switch Laos games. Link goes to dress up ready. I just use Greek Latin names are also so good. Yeah, they also sound good. I'm in agreement to that. Oop. All right, let's see here. What do we got? We might have to sit here for a bit. We'll be fine, probably. But yeah, so what does it mean when I mean we need to work on the foundation of the stream in a way to help make everything feel real, and at least in a way of it feels like we're all in idealist world, because that's what I want. I want it to feel like it's an idealist world. As a main leader of French Revolution who fought for the First Republic. Interesting. That's awesome. Hopefully. Me knowing nothing about history. Being like, hopefully. Okay, we're gonna have to burn our feet a little bit. There we go. It's kind of one of those things where it's just like, it's a revolution. Oh, okay, cool, I'm a fan. A bad revolution. Okay, I'm not a fan. I take it back. What an awful person. But he was a great father. Oh, then great person. When you don't know anything about anybody, it's just like, I don't know. I probably should have waited on that, but that's fine. Alright, let's go this way. I can't wait for them to open the new area for this. Because, like, that
isn't really gonna... Let's just go down here. They did say they're not really gonna add anything for... I don't know if it's any more or for a while after the new level that they're gonna add. Okay. Perfect. Screen frame maybe a start, like a set for a stage. So, the way that I'm so this is the direction that I'm kind of thinking. Versus the only thing I know about American history are from Hamilton. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But the thing is, I barely know anything about American history. It's kind of one of those things where if you give a human, not human, that gives weird implications for me even thinking that. U.S. Citizen test, and then or U.S. citizen, a citizen test to see how well they do. Bruh. Uh-oh, this is a problem. This is about to go up in flames. Yeah, the screen frame would be good. So basically what I'm thinking as far as the direction is that y'all are, and I give the impression with my outro screen and intro screen, essentially y'all are talking through an old TV. The old TV is a quote-unquote gift and ordeal from the god of entertainment that Idealist made in order to have access to a new dimension. He's able to access it and communicate with y'all through Mama Dodo. Which is why you only see Mama Dodo and not him, at least for now. So the first big update that I was going to do was about expanding that so that y'all are able to like see more, interact with it more, etc. But it looks like it's modifying an old TV. So I wanted to kind of lean into that more, right? And so the new intro screen that I want to make is kind of like seeing it from the more like close up. I'm thinking about implementing some 3D stuff from Blender, and it feel more akin to that. Now, I've seen some different ways of going about it, and some I'm a fan of, some I'm not. Oh, fuck. Uh-oh. Okay, good. Woo! That was close. And ooh. TV decorated new colors with the new type of train levels. Ooh, like a hype train kind of deal. That's kind of cool. Oh, that's one thing that I wanted to check. Hold on. Maybe I shouldn't do this while being in the middle of a volcano. I'll check after. Remind me to check OBS to see if there's a way to interact with streaks. Because you know how they added streaks where if you watch a certain creator, certain streaks in a row? Some of y'all have gotten really high streaks calling you out, Ratty. And I want to be able to have like cool interactions and stuff depending on the amount of streaks you got. But it's hard to, you know, figure out, oop, this thing is about to go on fire. Perfect. But I like that. I like the idea of hype train, like, kind of like changing the look of it. Now, does this mean that I'm going to want to have like an old TV filter on all the time? I don't think so. I think that could get really tiring really quickly. But like, I want it almost feel like you're switching the channel when it comes to different scenes. I kind of want to lean on that aspect to it, where it's just like, oh, we're watching through that, and or there's a couple scenes that I was thinking about doing that I think would be really fun. Is, you know how we sometimes plays collabs and we die, and we're just kind of sitting back and waiting for things to happen. I think, sorry, excuse me. I think it would be really fun to then have a scene where we're like, it kind of zooms out. And it looks like you're watching it from my shoulder, aka Mama Dodo's perspective, and we're just sitting at the TV and you see Idealist there, and we're both watching the TV. You know, like giving that impression of like, hey, yeah, let's just sit back for a bit, you know. Like a small transition animation that gives the channel a changing impression. Exactly. You know, and we have I've already implemented that somewhat in not recent VODs because I've switched to just uploading it raw for time in processing. Silent TV with written drizzle poo. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. You got so betrayed. Alright, let's see here. We're trying to get the rope one. So we're just doing this. Get out of here. But yeah, no. So there are little things. Gosh, they really are going with all that other kind of stuff. So as far as what order, how I want to go about doing things, it's difficult to say. Because also, like, a good example. Let's say we're like, okay, cool, after this, let's do some art. I don't have an art scene. At least not specifically an art scene. This one's actually not bad. Do I need the healing lantern? This is really good, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna say no. We're gonna give away the lantern. If we are at a point where we need to heal, we have the mushroom, and we're probably gonna die. That's what's gonna happen. But yeah, so like we don't have certain scenes with everything ready to go, like an art scene or a gaming scene. Not really. And a part of me doesn't want to do the whole usual VTuber kind of like framey. Oh, you know what? I mean, if Ross says I'm not gonna die, then I mean, there we go. Easy peasy. Where you have like that kind of like theme, or like that's around the border where you have like chat, and I've also considered like, do I really want chat in there at all times? Which I haven't really decided on. And y'all are always welcome to give in your own 2 cents, by the way. Taking in your opinions on things is part of me talking about it. Pulsating frame would be fun. What do you mean by pulsating? It goes in and out? Or animated? Like line wobble? Because we also don't want too much movement. Like a heart. Interesting. Like all the time? Would that not get annoying for y'all? Oh, right. Well, it's fine. I don't know how to explain it. No, it's fine. Do you happen to know an example? Because if you can give me an example, that would be honestly better than you even telling me. In your mind's eye, is it pulling from something, or is it you the one pulling it? You know what I mean? Let's see here. We want... Honestly, this is always just a hodgepodge of who knows how to get up there. But point is so there's a lot of things that we can do. So a part of me wants to, like, maybe scenes is best, and then we don't even have the animations for the following and the subbing and all that stuff, because again, I was gonna add all that. I'm tying it all to the lore. Y'all getting access to it is because something happened in the story that allowed you to have access to it, right? Like, that's the design. That's the desire there. That's me making my life more difficult for myself. But you know, what else is new? I was thinking about it just like a frame, like those old calligraphy ones, but pulsating like a heart. Interesting. What's that rumbling? Is it me? Am I the one who rumbles? Or am I the one who tumbles? But no, I don't know, man. I just don't know. The border stuff I think would be pretty good. Uh-oh. I think we're fine. Okay, we're good. I think scenes are important. I think having the animated stuff for following and subbing are important. But I think maybe just not to the extent that I wanted to do it. Again, because we're trying to think of short-term solutions and then do the long-term solutions later. But there's so much that still needs to be done short-term solution-wise that it's just like, it's still not a small undertaking. You know what I mean? Still not like a, ooh, little characters moving at the bottom of the screen. Oh yeah, like the, whatchamacallits? Like the pixel dinos, which, by the way, I had originally planned on doing that, like stream avatars. I was thinking about that. I don't know how that would play into the TV theme, but I don't know if I'm playing too heavily into the TV theme. A part of me wanted to, as far as if we were going to do the removal of the chat, we can make it so that if you highlight your message, it does pop up. I don't know if I want to do the, like, it will only show up if you do bids. I don't think we're big enough for that, and I don't want y'all to spend money in order to have to feel heard, because that sucks. Oh, like the little animations. Though I understand the look, she's a much more of a bigger fan of that than I am. What the hell is even this? There's like no safe spots. Am I gonna just have to get up there with on flaming rocks? No. It's not stream avatars. It is it's like little custom like animated loops of like it's as if I had like dance animations of like all the different summons on the bottom of the screen going at the same time. This level seems stressful to hell. Nah, it's chill. Nah, it's a vibe. Let's see here. What's a good spot? I think it says that I should be able to do it there, which is crazy if true. There's there, but I don't know where to go from there. Ooh, I almost died. Gonna be real. That could have been my death. I think up there is it. I would like to go up there if possible, but wow, this one sucks. Alright, let's see here. We're gonna try this. You know what? Get this. Uh-huh. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. See? That's why we drink the milk. That easy. It's that easy, chat. Don't worry about it. Protects you from everything, including burning. So there goes one of our lifelines. We could use the thing there. You know what? We're gonna do it right. What? What? I guess there's fine. But yeah, no, so as far as how we want to go about it, that is kind of up, I wouldn't say up for debate, but like that's you know, that's the fun part. That's the part where it's just like, ooh, we could do this. Ooh, we could do this. That's fun. That's fine. But the issue is, how are we going to be able to make it in such a way that we're going to actively, like, move towards it in the direction we want to move it? I would like for our goal to essentially be, we'll just eat this. Our third anniversary, this stream is going to look very different. In the sense of, like, it'll be the same stuff that y'all know and love, but in the sense of, like, it's going to feel like in-world. It's going to feel in-world. You know, it's going to feel like all the interactions and stuff are going to feel in-world. You're actually going to know what Idealist looks like that kind of thing. You know? Like, the quote-unquote small things. Oh gosh, this one's tough. Usually this is a lot easier than this one's been. Different streamer. Yeah, I'm gonna be replacing myself. Imagine. But yeah, like it's gonna be fun, you know? And there is something that I'm also considering. It's kind of because, you know, I will say one of the major reasons that I think I've been able to stick with game dev for as long as I have is the fact that I'm streaming it. That every Tuesday is game dev day. Do we do game dev every time? Not always, but, you know, we've been sticking with it regardless. Then I think I would have otherwise been able to stick with it, right? So a part of me wants to do, like, well, what if we add one more stream to the mix, but that stream is working on spoiler stuff. You know? It's a spoiler stream where we work on narrative, we work on story, we work on animations, we work on, you know, whatever it is that we need to work on. But it's a day dedicated to that, you know? Bro, what is this? What is this effing... This is a crazy one, dude. Okay, well, we can use this immediately. What's up, my guy? Yup. Easy. Granola bar. Minesweeper stream? Yeah, I'm gonna be a Minesweeper streamer now. I do kind of want to go up that way. If we miss, we die. Not even worried. I was a little worried. But listen, just like this game, you gotta take risks. You just gotta. I'm in market. Last time I checked, nobody was streaming the game, just saying. That's true. What everyone says is you have to find your niche, and then you just go into that niche until you are successful at it, and then you move on to a different niche. That's what everyone says, but my God, did I not take that advice? Because what do? We do one day games, then we do one day game dev, and then we do one day just relax, just chatting stuff. You know what I mean? But that's what I like it that way. That's how I want it. People get so used to just doing like one thing, and they're like, cool, I'm just gonna consume this guy for this one thing. That's not sustainable in my mind. That's like, cool, you better be doing that forever, because as soon as you try to do something else, you're gonna lose the support, at least most of it. But I don't know. I mean, technically we are finding our niche. Our niche is the small but strong, passionate people that like the witchy vibe with dinosaurs. Right? And we're here. See? I told you. That's simple. We're at the peak. Boom. Easy peasy. Okay, yeah, exactly. You came for the dinos. A lot of people did. A lot of people did. Some people came in from the Cult of the Lamb. Some people came in for dinos. Some people came in for, you know, a handful of other gameplay stuff. And there were some people who came in from the, we did like and Ludo, I think you would really like it. We went through the paleontology iceberg of like different myths in like crazy beliefs and tinfoiled hat ideas. It was a really fun time. So going back and watching that is worth it, in my opinion. Not right now, of course, but just in general. Get me out of here! Get me out of here! Where is it? Oh, there it is. I was gonna say, like, I hear it. Hey, yeah, it's just me. Thanks. Oh, get me on there. Hey, stop teasing me. Stop teasing me the rope. It was fun. It took us a few weeks to get through it all, but we learned that hey, you might like this. There is a belief that Spinosaurs are actually aliens. Not only aliens, but alien gods. Really funny. Really fun stuff. Oh, we got the eye. We got sunglasses. We got cowboy fit. We got cowboy hat. Perfect. That's cool. We got 3 achievements. I hope so. Because it's true. And then that's when we were introduced with dinosaurs, which are absolutely heinous. And I started freaking out about the belief that parasaurs are dragons. That means me come back one day, right? Are you also like me? And you would probably die to Jurassic Park World because you would be definitely going there and wanting to pet the dinosaurs. It's like, if I die to a Spinosaurus, that is a worthy death. Right? I know I would. I would definitely be dead. I would be giving way too much kindness to something that wants to eat me. But you know what? That's my cross to bear. Right? Oh gosh. Especially like a Stegosaurus or something. Dude, forget about it. Alright, what does this guy look like? Let's see. So this is the eye. That's crazy. Anime eye. I like the old man wrinkle. I think it matters. I think it matches. Cowboy fit. That's funny. Instead of this one, what did we get? Oh yeah, cowboy hat. That's actually kind of funny. I actually really like the cowboy hat. That's that one. Oh right, sunglasses. Let's change the fit. Hold on. Somehow I think the Spinosaurus would feel my pure heart and spare me. It depends on how hungry it is. I'm gonna be real with you. The cowboy fit does go hard. Ooh, the ice climbers is pretty good. Oh, the flower. I do like the gnome. Which one of these do I like most? Nah, yeah, let's... Cowboy. Hell yeah. I would probably say... When I was trying to find, like, good character, you know, designs for Idealist, because I'm still trying to nail down the character stuff, the closest that I was able to get it to the way that I wanted it was a cross between a gritty private investigator mixed with a cowboy. That's the closest I was able to get it together. I was just like, well, it's a look. It's a look. I have to taste pass. Even mosquitoes don't bite me anymore. Really? That's interesting. Mosquitoes love my ass. Thank God I don't live in Florida anymore. Because damn. Listen, I'm a fan of cowboys, but I'm also American. So I feel like it's in my blood to like cowboys. Right. Plus, we're talking about this area, this world that I'm building is like post-wasteland. It is very adjacent to, it's like fantasy desert. It's practically a fantasy, dark fantasy desert. So it's like, cowboy would make sense. So it's funny. It freezes in the winter? Right. Right. Gosh, would I rather have winter or mosquitoes? It's been very shitty for them. Really? Would I go vegetarian to never get bit by mosquitoes again? So that's your three options. Your three options are vegetarian, strict vegetarian, have winter, or mosquitoes. Or would you trade one of those for, or just deal with the mosquitoes? I would rather have winter. I would rather have winter than to give up meat. Granted, you know, I do not support the way that animals be treated. I really, really don't. So I definitely understand the reasons to be vegetarian. But, so obviously it isn't just so you don't get bit by mosquitoes. I don't want to undervalue the reasons people decide to be vegetarian. But I also just wanted to reinforce that. Because even before I stopped killing them, I had to take them outside with a glass. Mosquitoes? You spared mosquitoes? Do you have a heart of a saint? I spare spiders and most bugs. Ants and mosquitoes are kill on sight. Flies are also, I try to get outside, but often enough I kill them. Oh, you're so sweet, Ludo. To spare such parasites. Okay, let's see here. Okay, what else can we get at this point? Restore a total of 200 poison by using items. That's fine. Oh, let's do the one. Escape the island without eating any packaged food. Let's not eat any more packaged food. Let's do another one. Alright. Really? So, is that why you're a vegetarian? Just the idea of hurting animals, any animal, regardless of size, it just hurts? If so, that's pretty good. I didn't kill it. I ripped its legs when I put the glass over it. Oh! Yeah, but that's so hard to not do. You know? That's so hard not to do. Oh, we actually need this. Because we need to get the spool. Boop. Let's go ahead and cook some cocoa nuts. A predator kill flies in slow, painful ways to leave their body near the window. That's crazy. That's crazy. The two ends of the spectrum. I don't want to kill anything, even if I hurt it just a little bit, and I purposely torture them. Is wild. Both ends of the spectrum, I suppose. One is like, oh, it's like, I can't hurt them, and then the other one's like, I make effigies. as a warning to others. Alright, let's see here. Part of me wants to not... I mean, we still need food. I guess we will take 3 of these for now and then slowly replace them over time. And boop. And boop. And you. Alright. This is a decent amount of food. Let's move on. Now remember, we're not going to eat any packaged food. None. Zip, zilch, nada. Alright. But yeah, so as far as which one should we start with first? That I don't know. Especially with us doing art stuff, that would mean that the first couple... Let's say we're working on other stuff, right? I've been at war with bees since 2019. What happened in 2019? Dare I ask what happened in 2019? Were you just stung by a bee? Was it just being stung for the first time? Because bees sting, but for the most part, bees leave you alone. You just let them sniff you and then they move on. Ra, are you allergic to bees? By any chance? Because that would also do it. We have a beehive. Oh. See, that's rough. When you have a beehive and you need to take care of it, that sucks. Because it's like, one hand, you don't want bees near you, like living nearby, and then the other hand, it's kind of like, well, shit. Like, they're gonna hurt me if I try to move it, but they can't stay there. However, you can usually call from what I've heard, you could call local beekeepers to take care of it for you. Where they take the bee, they know how to take bees out and put it, and then they, you know, use them for honey, or utilize them for honey, and then, you know, you're good to go. They get what they want, you get what you want, everyone's happy. I'm also very afraid of spiders, crane flies, so very funny when we're in the same room. That is pretty funny. Because I wouldn't say I love spiders, but like Spider and I, we have an agreement. I really do like spiders a lot. To say I love them may be an overstatement, but like, I'm certainly not afraid of them. If something's crawling on me, I'm gonna freak out, but that's because something's crawling on me. My partner takes care of it. They're generally pretty chill if you leave them be. Hey! Let them be. Oh, our beehive is on purpose. Oh, perfect. Oh, great. Awesome. Do you also get honey then? The actual first battle was with baptism when I was like 1 year old. The bee stung me. I still have a scar, but the actual bee were happy because I was 2 of your friends outside. The bees were attacking us while we were hanging out, so we decided to go to war, and it never stopped. Were these bees or wasps? I also have a little pet. Oh, you have a pet jumping spider? Oh my god! How have you not already sent me a damn photo of it? What? Alistair, you're cool as hell. Just saying that right now. You're cool as hell. You're cool in my book. You keep bees. You have a pet jumping spider. You're in science. You're cool as hell. You're cool in my book. You're awesome. Bees, wasps, hornets, all of them. I dislike all of them. Don't put bees and wasps in the same boat, all right? Now, am I prejudiced towards wasps? I am. I'm willing to admit that. But I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be better with hornets and wasps. I know they're seem to be aggressive, but from what I'm understanding, that's a misconception. But the instincts are there. The instincts to like not be around a wasp is there. Bees, for the most part, I just let them sniff me and then they just fly away. Right. Once I was little, I found a bee thing on his back, so I tried to turn it over and it stung me. Oh, yeah, I was probably just scared. Yeah. One time when I was fixing some tennis courts because I worked at a tennis pro shop for a significant portion of my youth, and I was carrying like 6-gallon ice containers, and when I went to lift up the ice container, a bee flung between me and that container, and I slammed the bee into my leg, stinger first, and it hurt so bad. That poor bee, my poor leg. It was bad. It was bad. Oh man. Anything large that flies, that is a bug. I mean, oh, so you just don't like things flying at you. That's real. I understand that. I can understand that. That's understandable. Trying to hold it too, but I got too scared. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, same. When it comes to... Oh, one thing I am afraid of. Turns out I'm afraid of roaches. I didn't think I was. I was fine with most other things, and then it turned out I was just like, oh, crap. I really, really can't get close to this thing. I imagine butterflies would be different for Ra, but feel free to answer the question. Because I think it would be different enough where it's like... Because they don't fly the same. They fly differently. Because then otherwise I would also say, like, if you're afraid of butterflies, you'd probably also be afraid of, like, hummingbirds. You know? Oh, let's get this up in here. Oh, yeah, it was perfect. Yeah. Oh, you know what's also kind of a little interesting factoid about moths and or butterflies? Moths are anything that is in the around a butterfly that isn't a butterfly. A butterfly is like a subsect of moths. Anything that's essentially not a butterfly is a moth, as far as like that whole like grouping goes. Fireflies. Fireflies are beautiful. I love butterflies, dude. So good. Do this for the thing. Those are tiny though. Yeah, they did say big bugs. So last time that I had to deal with a roach, it was in my bedroom, in the corner of a wall. No joke, it took me 2 hours to gain the courage to even swap at it. I was like, why am I like this? Like, my friends were over, and I was just in there being like, I could do this. You are not your fear. You can overcome your fear. Oh my gosh. Oh, but dragonflies are so cool. I'm so sorry you're afraid of them. Oh wait, no, you're not afraid. Sorry, I thought you were. That was Raw saying that. But like dragonflies are so cool. We have a carpenter bees and palmetto bugs native to where I live, and they terrify me. Is carpenter bees the one? No, I'm thinking about paper wasps. What are carpenter bees? I think caddisfly larvae are really cool. I might have to look it up. In fact, you know what? I'll look it up right now. Watch me. I'll do it. I'm not afraid. You're afraid. Let's see. Caddisfly larva. Apparently I had all caps on because I was yelling it. Oh. Oh, they like get little pebbles. They're like little, they like have little pebbles around them as like defense. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Here, larvae insect warning for those that have like who may be triggered about it. I'm going to show just a brief moment of it. Keep in mind, look at that. They have like little stuff on them. They build little houses around themselves for protection. That's so cool. Bumblebees are adorable. Bumblebees are adorable. Very cute, very good. Love bumblebees. Insects, for the most part, are fine. The only ones that I hate, apparently, are roaches. I don't hate roaches, but I am afraid of roaches. I hate ants. Ants, I do not like. Like on a level. All right, get this. Perfect. Oh, crap. We just ate a processed food. Reset. Reset. Bring it back. That's fine. We were in level 1. It's fine. We were talking about larvae and insects. We're good. We don't have the blue-black ones. We have the black-yellow ones. Blue-black ones. Oh, carpenter bees. Okay. Are there bees that are blue and black? But they burrow in wood, including houses. Oh! Yeah. Okay. Then I've seen carpenter bees before. I think we had a bumblebee nest in our bush living in Colorado. At an exposition where they put the larvae in aquariums with gold and jewels. Oh, that's so cute! Oh my gosh, that's so cute! Hell yeah. Oh, alright. Bet. One balloon in here? That'll help reduce it. Some healing. Perfect. Processed food? We're not taking it. No processed food. We're gonna take from nature. We're essentially vegetarians. We just eat. This is the true keto diet. Not keto. What is the one where it's like you're a caveman? You only eat what the ground what you get when you hunt, like that diet. Is it keto? It's something. Paleo, thank you. You would think as like a person who likes dinosaurs and stuff, anything called paleo would be something I would be about, but no, not really. The fact that I can drink milk and not poop out my mind is enough to show that we have adapted to, a lot of people have adapted to, like, domesticated animals. And as much as I love my animals, a part of me does think of like, oh yeah, no, taking care of the animals would be something I would absolutely love to do. Bigger? Carpenter trees are bigger? At least we don't have the killer wasps, am I right or am I right? Because those things scare me. So those killer wasps that are like so big. Alright, let's see here. Got you. And got you. Perfect. Alright. We got enough food. Boop, boo, boo. Got enough food. Boop, boo, boo. Do we have enough food? Probably. Who knows? I haven't measured my food in coconuts before. Maybe I should. It would be... Have you all seen some of the really fun stuff? People do, like, weird measurements. Like, it was like... where it's like, an asteroid the size of 20 corgis might hit Earth in, like, 20 years or something. It's like, people will do anything than just use the metric system. something. So funny, dude. It makes me laugh. Oh, I guess, speaking of mentioning drinking milk, how many in here are lactose intolerant? Because that's always kind of interesting to me. As far as, like, lactose intolerance with age and stuff. And I guess it also depends on upbringing. Because for me, it's kind of the opposite. I was lactose intolerant when I was a kid. Or rather, not lactose intolerant, but I couldn't handle anything more than, like, skim milk. Right? For whatever reason, it would just upset my stomach. And then I grew into, like, I can drink any kind of milk and eat cheese, etc. It's fine. I know it's prevalent. It's a lot more prevalent in white people because of domestication and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, it's still interesting nonetheless. And there's, like, different kinds of lactose intolerance where one is more of like an allergy versus an inability to, like, absorb the nutrients. Very sad if I want. Right? For us is lactose intolerance. Rick Ross was? I did not know that, actually. Eat cheese every fucking day, right? Oh, I mean, I'm not... Okay, look. this shouldn't be controversial, but it is. Cheese is all right. It's fine. I think people, I don't like it as much as people love it. It's fine. I like cheeseburgers more than hamburgers. I like unfortunately I like the processed cheese more than the real cheese. But that's, if anything, that's just, I don't even know, man. I think that's just my brain liking preferences. Allergies are a reaction to the proteins, intolerance to the lack of lactose, and binds a break. A lot of people who with intolerance can eat hard cheeses because the process is broken down lactose. Really? Interesting. So if you can't have cheese, then it's likely an allergy versus an actual intolerance, huh? Fascinating. Good to know. Because I do know a person who, I won't name drop them, but I know a person who thought that they could power through, in major air quotes, their lactose intolerance by just eating and consuming like cheese and dairy on the daily basis and get used to it. And they were very much allergic to it. So it didn't make it get better. If anything, it got worse. 'Cause, oh my god. Oh man. Foxy, you good? Can I like do that? Oop. Okay, let's no. Ooh. Let's do over there. Okay, let's do that. Let's see. But yeah, no, I'm not lactose intolerant, but cheese is okay. It's alright. And my favorite cheese just kind of depends what it's on. If it's a burger, American cheese I think is peak. Nothing. No reason. Just your response more than anything else. Mostly it's that. But you know, to each their own. Vermont cheddar. It's amazing. What's the difference between cheddar and Vermont cheddar? Besides the fact that it's from Vermont. The breast milk cheese, my guy. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? I can honestly say I never had it. And lunch. Perfect. What do you mean, have I not tried it? No, I have not. Who has? Have you actually? I thought you were just messing. And which, that's why I was like, okay. Sure, bud. Sure, pal. Sure, friend. Sure, buddy. Sure, nah, I ran out. That's it. Guy. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's what I thought. I have no idea. That's what I buy. Interesting. Oh, well, what do you put it on? What is your favorite thing to put cheese on? That doesn't already have cheese, like... So you can't say, like, mac and cheese, because it says it in the effing name. But what do you like best cheese on? Is it because I know some people like putting it on their broccoli, some people like putting it on their sandwiches, in that case, my answer would probably be maybe provolone for sandwiches. I don't eat sandwiches often. I'm not a sandwich guy. Cheeses was stopping you from going vegan. I mean, that's fair. I mean, listen, it's okay to like write off specific things and be like, cool, these are things I don't want to eat. These things I'm fine with eating. Like, you don't need to like pigeonhole yourself into like trying to fit yourself in a box that isn't what you want, you know? So, but yeah, no, like cheese is good. It's fine. I think people go I think it's overhyped. I think cheese is overhyped. It's not. Y'all treat cheese like the second coming of Jesus Christ. Like, it's so extra. It's so extra. But you know what? Everyone loves their food. Everyone loves their food. It's good. That's fine. Cheese is great, but like, damn, it ain't that. It ain't all that. All right, let's see here. We'll put that in there. What do you mean overhyped? It is. It is overhyped. Don't tell me it's not. Everyone and their mom, for the most part, are just like, oh my god, cheese. I love cheese. I'm gonna put cheese on everything. Cheese, this is amazing. Right? That is the definition of overhyped. It is. When you make it a personality, it's overhyped. Let's put it that way. And cheese is one of those things. It is. We have a state that is obsessed and devoted to cheese. You know? And boop. Get out of here. Me leaving strands everywhere. Let's see here. We'll just eat this. Oh, this is a good time for another ad break. So we'll do an ad break. Y'all can yell at me about my statement about cheese. I'm going to continue eating. That's what I'm going to do. What is Liddy cheese? What is that? Do you mean the restaurant chain? Not restaurant. Supermarket chain? Liddy? Lidl? Or whatever it is? Maybe? Chicken with pesto with some cheese. Okay. Okay. Cheese paninis? I used to work at a sandwich shop. That was very, very, very popular. Honestly, so did I, Foxy. So did I. Lidl? Oh, right. Yeah. Like the shop. Okay. So, they have special cheese over there? At kebabs? Ooh. Okay, so it's like a cheese kebab? Or did they also have paninis at a kebab? You know? If y'all could even hear me. The ads are playing, so who knows? I wish I could tell who was in an ad and who wasn't. If it was smart, it would make it so that it was consistent across the board, but it's not. Yeah. I mean, you can because you're sub. Which, again, I very much appreciate the support. Even though I know you did it so you don't get ads. Did you know I can turn that off, Ra? Did you know that a streamer can make it so that subs still have to watch ads? It's true. Sometimes the ads, are like, is this like a new account? Or is this an old account? And do you want to know the longest that a streamer can put ads on their channel is for every 30 minutes, 22 and a half of it can be ads. That means 15 minutes every hour of not ads. That is how high you can set it. It could just be ads and then 15 minutes of whatever it is that you're supposed to be watching. You could do that. Granted, with us, listen, I wish I could make it so there isn't any at all. We do not have the community size in which the actual ads make any money for us. Like, no joke. We stream, I want to say, 12, average around 12 to 15 times a month for 4 hours each, right? Ish. I make $3 a month from ads. Right? It makes no money for us because, like, again, they pay for, like, per 1,000 views or whatever. So, like, it's divided to, like, we just don't have the size for it. Which is fine, which is absolutely fine. So I wish I could just turn it off until we have a decent size, but we can't. So, unfortunately, we have to deal. It sucks, but we are here. Okay, so get this. Oh, read all the Scoutmaster's Myers. Rule 000. Never abandoned friends. They left me behind. Yeah, so that's why the Rule 0 exists. Interesting. Huh. It's half a panini with fries and a drink there. Right? Alright, let's do this. Cook a marshmallow. We'll replace it with you. Yep, we got our roots. Perfect. Got that. Got our shelf. Perfect. Okay, we're good. Again, no, we can't eat processed food. No processed food. We're going on a fully au natural diet. You have to, like, rescind or something your affiliates, which makes everything else suck. Oh yeah, no, you have to, if you are affiliate, you have to have ads. If you don't, you can make it so you're no longer affiliate anymore, aka you don't get paid at all. All right, enjoy your lurking. So aka I'm not getting paid. Y'all can't sub or anything, and then you won't get ads. But it's not a good option. It's like, cool, either we'll put ads on your stream or you don't get paid ever, is basically what they say, which is, I guess, it's fine. But that's why one of the things that I want us to do, kind of leaning into the TV option, is that during ad breaks, we have our own custom ads of us just doing, like, funny bits and stuff. Just, like, our own funny custom ads being like, has this ever happened to you? Have you ever slipped on a banana peel and proceeded to punch someone in the face? Well, here I am, the banana peel lawyer, also an assault lawyer. I don't know, I'm just making shit up on the spot, but that's the point, is like, just do like funny, interesting stuff that allows us to just that allows us to kind of like really lean into it, you know? So a part of me is just like, oh, you know, it's, on one hand, I don't want people to think like, oh, I'm gonna replace you're gonna sub, so then you will get ads no matter what. It's like, for the most part, we pause the game during ad breaks. I don't want y'all to feel like you have to sub in order to get all the fun of what's happening. Because that's why it's not on a timer. Because I don't want ads interrupting a good flow of a conversation or a good event or something happening, and then it's just like, oh, I missed the really cool fun thing because I didn't spend money on a stream, you know? I have an idea for like something that plays random clips and stuff. Exactly. Like that's I like that. Like make it so that when you're doing on an ad break, just play like certain fun stuff in the background. And until I make like the custom commercial, for the most part, it might be snippets from VODs that I throw up during the time. But just have it so that there's other stuff where I could like, I want it to feel like it's still worth doing it. Because I don't want to take away the incentive, but at the same time, I don't like the incentive. It's very confusing. It's very conflicting. I don't like where we are. This is not a fun time. And, Well, I also wanted to be supportive, Low. If I get no ads, so it's a win-win. No, I appreciate it. I very much appreciate it. I really do. Because if you really actually hated ads and only didn't want ads, I could see you just doing like turbo or something, depending on how many people you follow or sub to. Let's see. Well, good thing we didn't need that. Oh. All right. This is tricky. What mushroom? This one is the bad one, I think. Yeah, that's the bad one. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. We're slowly gonna get there. And you. Okay, we're good. I don't see any spiders either. Woo! Man, I was really depending on that cure-all before, wasn't I? I remember this place. This one was kind of finicky. But I think we could do it. Oh, ooh. Oh, we never learned what the yellow one does. We should probably figure that out. But yeah, no, when it comes to ads, hey, this is not available. How are you doing? We're just yapping. Pretty much, that's it. This one gave energy. Anything else? Whoa! Let's go! Energy! I'll take it. I guess we did try the yellow one before, because I could have sworn that was the blue one. Yeah, nothing like... Yellow mushroom gives you the zoomies. And then you crash super hard. Let's see here. We'll do... I mean, I kind of want to do first aid kit, but... We have our thing still, right? Okay, if we have our thing, I can eat this. Perfect. Okay. Into the nearest wall. Hey, I'd like you to know that I had better control over myself. I didn't hit the wall. Probably. Oh, is this the one where I turned around and I was just like, oh, there, actually. Yeah, it was right there. Yep. Yep. I'm remembering. It was almost... I remember it like it was just an hour ago. Everyone looks at their timer and they're like, oh, yeah, no, that clocks. That was an hour ago. I hit the neighbor's wall. Ah, see, that's not my wall. So it's fine. Oh, I didn't see that guy. Is that the one that exploded last time I tried to climb up here? I vaguely remember that. I definitely got something. And now we don't have to worry about, like, burning in the sun as much because we're not trying to get that achievement, so... Hell yeah. Have y'all had, like, really bad neighbors? I legit, no joke, had an issue with a neighbor, but it was the downstairs neighbor. The downstairs neighbor screamed and yelled and banged on the walls. I'm not kidding you. It was wild. And I recorded it and reported it. And everything. They didn't do anything until I left. And and they were like, hey, we were trying to like do something about it, but they legit would not answer any, like, we had to take them to court now because they would not like respond to our messages and our phone calls, and we've called family and stuff. And I was like, okay, it's like, that sucks at all, but I'm definitely leaving. I've been dealing with this for like 2 years. And like, I'm gonna be real with y'all. Either I think he was on some kind of drug. He was on some kind of drug, dude. There's no way. There's no way he wasn't. I could eat that. Hold on. Can I get that from here? Nope, this might be too greedy. Too greedy. Too greedy. Too greedy. Too greedy. Oh. Ooh. Okay. All right. Oh, never punished. Let's go. Let's go. Not even punished. Not even once, chat. Not even once. Risk it all. Everyone's just like, all right, put it all on black. It's like, that's not what I meant. Wait, no. This isn't return to gambling. This one I remember being wild. This one might be risky. 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 Uh-oh. 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 Alright, we're gonna have to do this real quick. Oh. Oh. Oop. Okay. Well. We're doing that. No, brother, no! Okay. I remember going up here. I remember being up here, and then I'm safe. Oh my gosh, dude. Holy moly. Do I have enough to get up here? I do. Oh, 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 oh. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Okay. And then I think we need to go up there. A part of me wants to use the health kit. Because I'm like, ugh, please. Oh, I don't need it. Antidote, baby. Woo! That easy. Listen, sometimes the fate and whatever, what kind of ever power above is just like, hey, we got you, fam. And then you do finger guns to the sky and then, you know, cross the highway without looking. This is the note where I tell you that never do that. Exactly, brother. Exactly. You. Swiggity swooty. FYI, one of the best ways to keep yourself alive from the wind is be on a vine. It costs less stamina and you don't have to grab. So, you know, these are peak tricks by Idealist. And then it's just like, there's like a sick guitar riff where it's like, hold on to the rope so that it costs less stamina. Only fools lose their cool. Oh god, that's so stupid. Should we add that to the commercial list? Oh my god, that would be so funny. What are we doing? Kind of looks like that. Hell yeah, let's do it. Honestly, I'm gonna need y'all's help a bit as far as some good ideas to do the like commercial list. Just like weird shit. I mean, there's stuff that I want it to be a combination of funny bits, which like the guitar riff dude. I want, and then I'm a huge fan of what I would like to call what do you call it? It was like supportive, dark stuff. Where, like, so I'll give you the example. The kitchen gun is a must-have in that case, right? So like one of the commercials that I want to do is the scene is that it's just it's at night, the side of the road, maybe like a side of a back road or something, and you see roadkill just being on the side of the road, and then you see the lights of a car driving by, lighting up the scene, and then driving away. And then you see the roadkill get up and then look to the camera, and in a deep voice it speaks and says, everything is gonna be okay. Everything passes, especially the bad. And like, just like really hopeful shit. Just like really positive, hopeful, and yeah, like just like this weird, like it's unsettling, but like it's like unsettling hope core. You know what I mean? It's like little stuff like that. That feels exactly what I want to do. There's something about that. I don't know. Just something about it where it's just like this weird something with it. Like a deep voice, Eldritch horror voice, kinda, yeah. Like Welcome to Nightingale, yeah, kind of like Welcome to Nightingale vibes to it. That's a good way of putting it. I love Night Vale, dude. I used to watch that, listen to that all the time while at my first not, I wouldn't say big boy job, but post college job. Which, by the way, I was in a sessioning at a government facility. And a sessioning, if you don't know, is just like, do the labels match? If yes, move forward. Like, it was very dumb. Let's do you. Oh yeah, we should probably get our thing, shouldn't we? So like stuff like that, and then there's also one of the other commercials that I want to do is to kind of, ooh, I'll take that. Where it's like too many cooks, and it's all of Mama Dodo, like the Too Many Cooks sketch from Adult Swim, but it's all of Mama Dodo's different costumes. And it's like, too many cooks, all is true with me and you, too many cooks, and it's just like all these dodos and all these different costumes, and they're all in the kitchen at the same time, and it just keeps going and becoming more and more hectic. Like, that's so funny to me. That's so good. And so I want to do like little mini creative projects that I'm just putting up as a commercial, and the limit is it can't be more than a minute. I'm planning on each one being exactly a minute, so 3-minute ad break will have 3 different commercial stuff. But there's some positives and negatives to that. One, it allows for infinite growth, which is great. But there is a problem. And that problem is one, it requires extra work to accomplish. 2, it requires what's the word I'm looking for? It requires a lot of setup. What was that? There was another negative. There was another negative in my head. But I lost it. The level started, my brain turned off. I don't know what happened. I think I tried to do too many things at once, and my brain just blue screened, and then all my saved data got deleted. I don't know. Hold on. Let's see here. Let's put this back. We're good there. The chain launcher is pretty based. Antidote, I don't think we need anymore. So let's do chain launcher, and then we have Pandora's Lunchbox to help move things forward. Okay, cool. All right. Now, with that in mind, too many cooks, commercials, problems, potential solutions. No implementation. Like I like creating avenues of creativity for myself to expand. That's why it's why I decided to be a VTuber. I'm gonna be 100% honest with y'all, because if I was more into like, almost like a play where you have costumes and events that way, I would have just done live camera and then just done different like physical costumes for y'all and different like physical bits for y'all. But I thought there was more of a creative outlet of being a VTuber and doing fun stuff with that than there was otherwise. Hey, do you mind? Yeah, thanks, bud. But yeah, no, it's just, I love that kind of stuff. So anything that we can do to kind of allow that to move forward without adding what I've learned now is without adding too much to my plate. The lunchbox isn't a processed food, is it? It might be considered processed food. Just in case. We don't want to ruin it just because we brought a thing that we may even not need. You know what I mean? I wish I didn't throw that away then. It's fine. It's fine. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. But yeah, no. Yeah. So I'm not necessarily sure how I want to move forward. I'm gonna give it some real thought, and y'all are always welcome to give me your opinions, your perspectives of things. I won't promise that I'll do it all, or I will like do what you ask, but what I will promise is that I will listen and I will consider. And so I'm trying to keep... You serious? Alright, well, I guess I twisted my ankle there. Because I'm trying to keep in mind that the more feedback you get, the more... tainted is the wrong word, because that gives the impression that it's a negative thing, but the more it becomes less yours... Like, yours, that's also a bad way of putting it. It becomes less about the expression of yourself. And I don't want that. I want this to be... This story, this narrative, this character is in itself some form of myself that even I'm not fully able to properly comprehend. And I think that's part of the beauty that is art, especially in creating in general, is that in a lot of ways it's a way to process. And I think that's why art requires struggle, it requires strife, it requires, for lack of a better word, trauma. Right? It requires a lot. And I think that's part of the reason. I think it's kind of like that stuff is kind of distilled through your body and soul in such a way that the output is creativity. Creativity is a processing tool to utilize what you can in a way that you can, you know? Why does it give me the follower goal now? Well, thank you for the follower goal, whoever met us there. I don't know who set it off, but thank you very much for the follow. Very much appreciated. I don't know why it's not telling me, but it's not telling me. But welcome in. I'm glad my discussion of being... I would think it's a little too real, but, you know, that's kind of, you know... Especially when it comes to being a streamer, or I guess in this case, an entertainer, right? I have to decide in what way I want to be entertaining. What is my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What can I do? What can I not do? And unfortunately, in a lot of ways, hold on, I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of the scorpion. Hee ho ho ho. Where's that scorpion go? Hey man, how you doing? Oh, you are still alive. That's wild. I threw dynamite at you. Okay, well. I wanted a bit of a snack, but I guess not. It's... I am a generalist, but I guess I have done... That's not a good way of putting it. Because I've learned that there's a difference between a generalist and... Hey, welcome back! There's a difference between a generalist and just people who are just talented in a lot of different things. And it's hard to think of yourself as talented period without feeling like you're treading into territory of like, oh, I'm just being full of myself. Or, oh, like, I don't want to have a big head. And I think there's like some kind of level of conditioning in a way, at least in my life. Maybe y'all have had a different experience, but in my life, where I need to stay small. I can't take up too much space. And hey, thank you, Loam the Worm. I love it. I'm so sorry that Twitch decided to not tell me that you followed me, but thank you. Wonderful. Welcome in. This is Mama Dodo, by the way. I am currently speaking through her, and she sees all of you as her children, and you know, just myself, I'm a Paleomancer VTuber, so you'll see a lot of dinosaurs, you see a lot of undead stuff, and we vibe and we talk and we have a good time. Welcome in, and I appreciate the follow. There's also a lot of redeems to change your costume, so feel free to utilize those as you see fit. I believe the chill one is in there to change back to. If you know of one that you want to change back to that isn't on the list of redeems, feel free to just tell me. You can redeem whatever you want and just tell me, and then I'll manually switch it. It's fine. Woo! Ha-ha! Made it. Lovely. But yeah, how are you doing today? Hopefully well. I myself, it's a very thought-provoking day for me. I'm in a zen mood. I'm kind of in a mood of just like processing and thinking and moving. A day where if I was doing this, if I cancel stream for whatever reason, I would just be kind of sitting there listening to music, looking at the ceiling, and just kind of feeling myself out a bit. And you know, I think it's important to have those days where you kind of sit back. And kind of back to where I was talking about before. Oh, get out of here. When I was talking about before, as far as like when being a content creator and finding your kind of going towards your strengths and your weaknesses, and it's like a part of me wants to be entertaining, a part of me wants to be insightful. It's like I want to be everything, but it's like you can't really. You can try. I'm gonna try to get these. Oh boy. Ooh. Okay. I missed. Hey, I missed. Oh, let's see if I can do this. Hey guys, how are you doing? Okay, maybe I'm being a little too greedy. I am being a little too greedy, but you know what? That's okay. You need to be a little too greedy in order to live sometimes. Oh boy. Oh boy. I don't remember being this problematic the first time we did this, guys. Gonna be real. Whew. Because I also saw that one. I was like, oops. F you, scorpions! Okay, we need to, let's go ahead and put this, honestly it doesn't matter where. What matters is that we did 100 things of rope, eventually. I don't know how we haven't gotten that already, but it's fine. It's fine, we're fine. But yeah, no, just finding your strengths, figuring out who you are, what works for you, what doesn't. I've learned that, unfortunately, I work the best when I'm on my own kind of schedule. If I have like something that needs to be done, it really sucks, especially sleep schedule. If I am required to be at a certain place at a specific time, and it's better for me to make sure that I sleep in a little bit, get the rest that I need, and then take care of it, than it is to be forced to wake up at a specific time. Other people need that structure, right? Of like, I need to be up at a certain time. Hold on, let's do this. Let's do this. And whoop. This feels a bit like a waste, but here we are. I ain't having to sleep. I think, okay, so here's a question. Which would you rather be able to do? Sleep at any point, at any time, for any amount of, like, every sleep is a sound sleep. Every sleep you do is amazing, and it's the perfect amount of sleep, and you feel great, and it's a good time, or not be able to have to sleep at all. So you're able to not sleep and function in like all the health. You get all the health benefits regardless. But you know, the sleep is like normal. You still have like bad nights here and there, etc. Would you rather choose not sleep at all or have better sleep? Double down on sleep or remove it entirely? Okay, can't reach it, so we're just gonna whoop, whoop. 4. I personally would say I would rather get rid of sleep. But, and this is funny, a better sleep, have some banging dreams. Ooh, yeah. Okay. Being able to have some really good dreams would be pretty cool. So you have a good. Woo! That was close. Stop it. We definitely came up a different way because this is a lot tougher than the way we chose before. Yeah, I'm gonna say no sleep at all. It's funny. I used to think I was so lazy before I did all this. I thought I was like a super lazy person, and I just like doing things efficiently, so I didn't have to put effort into anything and all that stuff. Which, by the way, probably to y'all, you're like, what the hell are you even talking about? Because to everyone else, it doesn't look like that. But it wasn't until like this is another one of those moments where it's like, I wish I didn't have to sleep so I could be like do more stuff. That's not an answer of a lazy person. And it didn't dawn on me until like well into like, you know, trying to do better, or like heal better, not do better, but like, you know, heal and recover, and accepted that I'm a workaholic, that like part of being a workaholic is feeling like you're constantly lazy. And I'm like, wait, what? What do you mean? Ooh, portable stove. Man, I wish I had you last round. Or, and so I could do that rescue claw. Let's see. Yeah, let's do a rescue claw. There we go. Portable stove. I don't think we need that. Most we can do is cook a scorpion. I dreamed I was fighting with my cousin. We lost our teeth, and I didn't know which ones belonged to whom. That's a crazy dream. That's a wild dream. Holy crap. Ooh, this one might be something. I might die from that, though. If I don't make it to the top, I mean, we have a crap ton of energy, but I kind of want this. Is it worth using? It's worth using. Let's just use it. Look at that. Easy. Oh, man, I was really hoping to find another one of those in there. We remember, no packaged food. No packaged food. We need to keep on thinking that. All right, sun is out. We need to get out of the sunlight. Pronto. More like Bronto, am I right? Haha. Anyway, I'm sorry. Oh, are we close enough that it's not gonna tell us that we're on fire? Oh, we might be. 6 hours to draw sounds really good, right? Are you only? Why do I look like a gingerbread man? Do you only sleep for 6 hours? Swear to God on this, but I dreamt last week that my uncle was the Austrian painter. I swear to God, I'm serious. I believe you. Dreams are weird. Dreams are odd. You could tell me just about anything. Is like, hey guys, I dreamed that I was Banksy, and I'm like, cool. So what kind of art did you make? You know what I mean? Between 6 and 3, I think. I feel like that's not healthy though. But you know what? I'm not gonna sit here and tell you. Well, are you sleeping that low out of necessity or of that's what feels right? And I think that's what really determines it. Because especially in like high teens, low 20s, when you're like, y'all need more sleep more than like than compared to other age groups. And even worse, bro took me to Harry Potter play. It was like a theater kid. Again, I'm not gonna anticipate you lying to me, Foxy. I believe you. I believe you. This guy's lying to us, guys. This guy's totally lying. He's like, no, Foxy over there. No, yeah, this guy's totally lying to us. I really don't appreciate him lying to us like that. It's kind of nuts. Anyway, let's leave the scroll. Gather around the fire. Oh, you know what? Let's grab this back. Hold on. I have an idea. Wait a minute. Wait a second. Wait a swiggity swackant. What if we burn the page? I wonder what happens. I'm drawing too tired to do so, and then sleep for 12 hours straight on weekends. Okay, so you do the sleep debt too, where you don't get enough sleep during the work days, and then on rest days you catch up with like 12 or whatever. Got you. That's how I was for high school and college. I was the same way. Sometimes you just have to do the sleep debt method, man. There's not enough time in the day. You have other stuff you need to do. Okay, this is a whole lot of nothing. Alright, you. Anything else here? Nope. Food's gonna be a bit of a problem. Okay, cool. Best sleep ever with those 12 hours, right? Alright. Got that. Boom. Let's cook it. Well done, torn page. Burnt, torn page. Nope. Okay. Into the fire with you! I should be sleeping right now, sleeping an hour ago. Does he know? I mean, if you need to go to sleep, feel free to go to sleep. You know how many times people sleep with my streams on? You don't need to leave the stream on, but I'm just saying. Like, I have considered doing, like, reading videos where I, like, read stuff to people, because I've been told I have a very soothing voice, so it's like, you know, maybe lean into that a little more, you know? But it's hard to... I mean, it's definitely worth experimenting with. You know, doing other things like that. Even I slept with the sleep on. Exactly. I stopped doing it because... a bit because the lack of sleep makes me a bit crazy. Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it. I 100% get it. Left to stream on by accident. Uh-huh, sure. Sure, bud. Accident, huh? Just say you don't like my streams, man. Can you imagine? Can you imagine, dude? Nah, y'all can have me on the background. Y'all can have me while you're asleep. Y'all can have me while you have another person that you're paying more attention to. I don't care. You're giving me your time. You're giving me your energy. You're giving me your interaction. You're giving me support. What more can a guy ask for? I don't like your streams. It's really funny, Foxy. Those are some of the best things to fall asleep to. Right? Exactly. Let's pick up this egg. Egg. Alright, let's see here. We go through Caldara. Hey, we go through Caldara. We don't do Caldara anymore. And then we go down here. And then we... Oh boy! Yeah, I knew it. I knew that was gonna happen. Alright, we're gonna... Boop. Easy peasy, and that's how you cook an egg, everybody. You just throw it on the hot parts. I'd just be sitting with friends and ask, sorry, what did you say? Nobody said anything for 10 minutes. Yeah. I'm like that too. You just disassociate and you're just like, oh, I'm back to reality. Hey guys, what's going on? Funny. I was about to say watching YouTube and then I wake up and was watching Grover on his quest to kill God. What? See, I do also sleep with YouTube on it every once in a while, but it's never been long enough where it like goes down a chain of recommended videos. It's always like at most an hour. So like I don't hit those like, plus with the things I watch, it would be problematic. It would be some kind of horror YouTube video. Oh boy. Oh. So it would be like some kind of like VHS tape horror, like just like mimic. I saw a Wendigo in the woods, which is actually a skinwalker, which is actually the voice of my dead mother, like all that other kind of stuff happening, and I'm like, what? What does that even mean? Or knowing how YouTube is now, it would probably some kind of like AI slop of like, and then, did you see it? I'm not saying top 5 is AI slop, but that's the first thing I go to as far as just like supernatural stuff is, did you see it? I like to nap in the sun during the summer. Are you a cat? You could also, I also accept lizard. Lizard is also a solid one. Shout out, I want to see God. Woke up to a cold sweat. Uh-oh. 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 This is gonna be coming on fire. It's gonna be on fire in about a second. Oh my god. This is bad. Ooh. Oh, we're fine. Egg. I'll wait for this to go back down. And I woke up Spinosaurus. Exactly. Spinosaurus God? Is that you? For those that don't know, there is a belief... No. I remember what it was. Spinosaurus weren't the gods. Spinosauruses were the pets of gods. I think. Crap. If Ratty was here, Ratty would be able to confirm for me. It was something. It was something like dinosaurs were the experiments of aliens. It was a whole thing. It was crazy. It was funny, but it was crazy. All right, hold on. Hey, it's not gonna become burnt. Oh, there it is. Cooked egg. Perfect. Hey, how you doing, G? How have you been? Anything new? Got any new, I believe it was, if I remember correctly, was it planes or jets that we were talking about at one point? I feel like we were talking about jets. He divides you by 0. No! Alright, well, we're burning. We're burning. Just a little fire under the butt. I just lay in the grass and sleep for 4 hours. Always a blast. See, I'm not a napper. Now, but what I will say, you know what's really good? Oh my gosh, why can't I remember them? What is the name of them? Hanger? No. The one where you tie on both ends and it's like a net you lay in. Crap, what's it called? Oh, you relax and you stare at the sun, but you're like in a net. But it's not like all the way. It's like halfway. Hammock. Thank you. Thank you so much, Astral. Yes, a hammock. Hammocks are the best. I love hammocks so much. Only second to a hot tub. Or a hot spring. Oh my gosh. Really? That cost me energy? Oh, that's fine. It's not fine, but whatever. But yeah, laying in a hammock in a nice cool day, like 70 with a cool breeze. Forget about it. Hey, was this here before? Hey guys, I don't remember this before. Did I go across this tall one before? Why does this look different? Overrated? Overhyped? And y'all said I was wrong with the whole cheese thing. Uh-huh. Sure. Whatever. 70 isn't that warm. 70 is perfect temperature for me. Fairy lantern. Oh, in that case, get that out of here. Give me the fairy lantern over that any day. Alright, what do we got here? Ooh, no processed, no processed, no processed. No processed, no processed. Okay. Alright, I think we're okay. Let's save up this stuff. We have enough. I don't think we need a rope cannon. We'll make sure we have a second marshmallow and go through that. Against concrete is nice too. Warm concrete. Okay, I've now confirmed you're not a cat, you're a lizard. I think you're just a lizard. I think you're just a lizard. You just, yeah. My preferred is like 20? Oh, I'm talking Fahrenheit, Foxy. Are you talking Fahrenheit or are you talking Celsius? I'm talking Fahrenheit. I live in a place where we make our measurements up by just looking at the stars on a particular night. Like, we don't deal with the darn old metric system. I learning science was like learning a second language. You know what I mean? Boop. There we go. And we got 2 marshmallows. That will set us over for the rest of this run. Hopefully. We do not have any like saves though, so we'll see. I'm talking Kelvin? What the fuck? I don't know Kelvin off the top of my head. I'm not adding or subtracting 273 to whatever kind of number. I'm good. No, I'm set. I ain't gonna do that. It's like, sure, did I need to know it for science? Uh-huh, but guess what I also had? Like, Google. For weather. For water, cold water is peak. Anyone who likes room temperature water needs to be suspected. Suspected of what? I don't know. Of something. Cold water is better. And it also changes the flavor, and you can't convince me otherwise. Yeah, first of all, 0 Kelvin doesn't exist in the universe. It's always a little bit more than 0 Kelvin. 0 Kelvin means absolute 0 vibrations, which, as far as I'm aware, does not happen. Oh, perfect. Let's see. Which one would be good? Let us see. Ooh, that's perfect. This is the lighthouse one. This is for... What was the name of the game? I don't even remember the game. There was a Lighthouse one with a little, almost like a flying dodo on it. Yeah. So I had to make it. I like to make different costumes for different games that we do. It's very good. I like my water temperature like your women. Thick. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a, I don't know. I feel like there's either anything that I could think of that would equate to one is a dark joke for the other, or just untrue. Like my water temperature, like I like my women. Hot? Maybe? Like kind of like tea? Maybe they're a tea enjoyer. Are you a tea enjoyer, or are we still talking about water? Okay, saving our own life here. We're gonna have to use some of our energy. Ooh, okay, that was a bad spot. That was a very bad spot. Oh, we could do this. Oh, is this the spot where I was just like, hey, there's nothing to go? Let's do like there. Why is it like that? Okay. I like water to be ice cold. Same. I also like my water to be ice cold. Well, like, I think some people who don't like the cold water have sensitive teeth, and that's why they don't like it. The joke can go in very different ways. It could be like, oh, I like my water hotter. It could be like under 15. Yeah, let's, at the very least, don't go for the pedophile joke. Pretty please. That's all I'm asking. Let's just not go that direction. I kind of want to go that way. Okay, it's gonna be a little spicy, but you know what? I like my water like my women. Spicy. This almost died as I said before I delete it. No, you're good. It's not like you did say it, but like, hey, that's the joke. And you were just more like, it could go different ways. It could go in one way or a way different way. You're using it as an example versus the actual joke, which is why it's fine. Okay, I could die here, but I'm not, because I'm just that good. But yeah, no, I love making different Mama Dodo costumes for different games that we play. So that's why we have, at this point, I think we're close to 40. I think we have 40 different ones, if I recall correctly. And we have enough for a whole museum, tell you that much. Okay, so let's make sure that this won't fly off. Interesting. We shouldn't have used the chain launcher. But you know what? It's fine for now, I guess. Alright. Alright. See you in a bit. This is the one where we caused trouble. Ow. Okay, fine. I'll figure it out over here. I kinda want to do it. Last time we crawled all the way up to the top by doing a little bit, like, eliminating or doing the shields, and then we just like powered through it. We could. We have an extra one. Ooh. Oh. What we could do is we have the fairy lantern. The problem is we can't climb with the fairy lantern, and if we're on something spicy, I don't think it's gonna eliminate it in time. How does one unlock that level of creativity? Aww, thank you. I think all it is you're like, cool, I want to make this costume out of this thing. So then you just look at pictures and being like, okay, how can what I am would it look like if it was in the same world, and in what way? That's where I start, and then I just do it one at a time, which is why we're up to like 40. Because it's like I didn't do it all at once. I did one after another after another. But thank you for the compliment. It means a lot coming from you. I'm slowly but surely trying to get confidence in my art again. I'm a guy who was a very artistic child that like stopped drawing in their like teens, and then wanting to kind of been artistically starved ever since. If that makes any sense at all, if that feels any relatability at all. So when I picked up the pencil again, it was just like, oh god, it just looks like I'm a 13-year-old. And I'm like, well, probably because the last time you picked up a pen was when you were 13, forehead. I'm honestly kind of thinking doing like there. It was so funny. I actually put it in the Discord at one point. Yeah, thank you. Well, welcome in. I'm glad you enjoy things that I make. If you want, not that I'm saying you have to, I do have a Mama Dodo museum in my Discord that you're welcome to join if you're 18. If you're not, you know, that's absolutely fine. This stream is 13 plus, so it's absolutely fine. But the Discord itself, I did recently make that change, just for protection against, or protection for our people who are underage. It was a very tough decision. It was 13 plus for a while, but then I made that decision, I want to say a couple months ago. It was definitely recent. Because, I don't know, it was just, there was too many things that were, like, not really against each other, but... and then... Oh, perfect. And then... Ooh, okay, that anti-rope really worked. That really helped. That's good. And then now we just... heal the burn. And we're good. Perfect. Oh, right, and then there's... And then I need to go up this way. This one, I could just do... Ooh, let's do that. The rescue claw is new, by the way. So what we could do is... we could do that. We're Spider-Man. The Spider-Man one is so good. I love it. The launcher, like, what it's meant is to, like, rescue people. But, you know, we're soloing it, so it's kind of like, whatever. Who am I going to rescue? Myself? That would be... I'm sure there's a comic where Spider-Man rescues himself in some way, right? Everyone gets one. Who's going to rescue Spider-Man from Spider-Man? Okay, let's see here. Let's go ahead and put you in here. Perfect. Why is the stomach rumbling? We're not that hungry. It's giving the impression that, like, we're gonna... and I'm gonna starve. And it's the Patrick, but he's like... I'm just full of marshmallows. Hopefully the marshmallows didn't count as processed food. I don't think it did. But hopefully it didn't. I imagined it's anything that's, like, packaged. So, like, we didn't have any of the other stuff going. Yeah. We didn't have any of the other stuff going. Hopefully. Alright, will this be enough? Oh, it hasn't been that bad. Okay, now we're just gonna... Whee! See? Spooderman! Is this a packaged drink? Did I drink a water? I don't remember if I drank a water or not. Fuck! Hopefully it didn't count. I don't remember if I did, and hopefully if I did, it didn't count. Because if so, that kind of sucks. But you know what? That's okay. We're vibing. Like the getting achievements thing. That's just gravy. You know, that's just good. I want to get that, but once I get that, where do I go? Oh, right. It was up there, wasn't it? I'll definitely... I'll join later. Maybe I'll even make a fan art tear. Ooh! I would love to see it. Honestly. I love to see y'all's art. Even if it's not fan art, I love to see y'all's art. I love to see y'all's, like, process and progress and how y'all make stuff. It's honestly beautiful. We could do that one, which would be crazy. It would be craziest for do that one. I kind of want to do this one. Let's do this one. Oops. I thought we had the other one. I would have done something different. It's fine. And also, don't worry about, like, skill level. We're all in our own journey. We're all at our own levels. I think I'm not a good drawer. Which gives you the impression, like, I don't think there are people who, no matter what you try to do to convince them, they're not convinced because they're looking at other stuff with like, okay, cool, but it's not what's in my head, and I wanna make what's in my head. Yup. And yet, here I am, still trying my damnedest. I'm asset drawing, so my art is more focused on the ears rather than the eyes, yeah, which is honestly cool. That's excellent. I will say there is a let's try this. Perfect. Great. There has been a fascination, and I understand there is an underlining part to this, and know that there's nothing other than the intention of, I think having weird non-human tongues is a really neat thing to explore. Because I was seeing pictures of it, but a lot of that stuff is like horny, and that's not more like my intent behind it. I just like, it's similar to like the like having the one arm being something different, right? Where it's just like, oh, I didn't really consider the whole tongue thing. That's kind of neat. So it's very from a strict perspective of like character design and just seeing a new body part in a new perspective is interesting. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm a drawer, turns into a furniture. That's funny. I used to draw a lot, but now I've just lost almost all motivation. I don't know why. Well, what's the reason why you drew? And was there a reason why you stopped? Also, by the way, did I show you the SKL Premium? I don't know what that means. Oh, wait. Is that the music? The music you were working on? Because if so, I don't remember. I know I can't watch it on stream anymore because we got to that VOD and I got flagged. I was like, I knew it. I knew I'd do it. I know it's not like anything you did on your part, Foxy, at all. It's literally just YouTube being YouTube. Peak. Day 8. There is peak. Day 8. And that's all it be. That's all you need. So we did, and we have to beat this in an hour. Oh, I remember people getting it, the achievement of beating this in an hour during the glitch with like just rushing here. Why did the tomato lose the race? Because it was always trying to play catch up. Oh, catch up jokes. It's like, you know my MO. FYI, I'm very big. Why do I not have a Mama Dodo ketchup costume? What is wrong with me? Ketchup is like one of my most noticeable personality traits. It's currently an instrumental in my upcoming album. Hell yeah. Let's go. Hopefully I got the achievement. We'll see. We'll see. I don't remember if I drank from a water bottle. And or if marshmallows count. Because I believe it's packaged foods. And technically water isn't a food. So I could be wrong. We'll see. Let's go up. You're picking up a cowboy. I love that the mouth moves when I talk. We made it. Of course we did. What? Our time was 1:18? What? I bet I drank water and it counted as a packaged food. I'm gonna have to Google it. Hell yeah. Read all the Scoutmaster's trials, so we got that at least. And good. I'm really glad that you're continue to make music that you love, Foxy. And as you make more and more music, you're gonna get better and better. Which is why I'm excited to see you make stuff. Because it just, being able to see you in the beginning of your journey is honestly a gift. But I never write the stories, I imagine. Well, I'm starting that journey now too. So if anything, use me as an excuse. Let us start something new together, yeah? Okay, let's see here. Let's see if I remember. Let's Google. Oh, first let's check out our glasses. Not my glasses! Oh my gosh, that's actually really funny. That's actually kind of funny. I like that a lot. Also, if you had the honor of being in my intro of my album. Hell yeah. You know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. Thank you very much. This is the first time I've been on an album, which is huge. I'll add that to my resume when I apply for jobs. Start just compiling ideas into a Google Doc or something and have access to it 24/7. Then you can just jot it down. And oh yeah, no. Whenever you have an idea, jot it down. For me, it's an Excel sheet. My brain likes Excel sheet a lot. I write down everything. It's just the act of acting upon it is my current wall. All right, let's see. Let's go back to our usual no maxing. That's so funny there with that. That's funny. Look at all those badges. Oh, I'm so badged. I'm so badge maxing. I wish I could look behind me. Oh. I'll catch it. I'll catch it. Oh, you know what? I can do this. That actually turned out a lot better than I thought it was gonna be. Oh, there's a lot on the back. That's funny. Oh my gosh, that was actually really funny. Oh man. Featured from Project by Foxy Fox, right? I have so many Google Docs with storylines, outlines, maybe some snowball into larger ideas and actual stories, but what honestly motivates me more. That last one is my favorite. Yeah, right? Just, what is it? What is it? Hard as a plank, light as a board. Hard as a plank, light as a board. It's like idealist when he touches the Ouija board. Oh my gosh, today's been really fun. Just chill climbing. Made it twice, by the way, while yapping. Also, an hour 18 is crazy. If we were just 20 minutes faster, we would have gotten a speed run. I was laxing the whole time. Like, that wasn't even us trying to rush. That's a very doable thing. Hell, we even took like breaks and stuff, right? We even stopped to take breaks. We stopped to like think about stuff. We didn't need to do all that. I could have easily shaved off like 15 minutes just from that. And then it's just being a little faster. That's all. Especially since I was holding myself back with the whole process thing, which I will Google. But yeah, so let me see. Let's see who is online. I try to write down everything that's on my mind. Wish me luck. Oh yeah, no, best of luck. Would love to continue seeing the work that y'all do in the Discord. If you're able to join, it's okay. If not, no worries. You're more than welcome to. If you're not 18, once you become 18, you're more than welcome to join. And yeah, no, it's absolutely fine. It's wonderful having y'all. Let's see who is online to see if we can raid anybody for y'all, because we usually do 1 to 5 on Eastern. So I think, let's see. We have Oracle with Helldivers, and wait, right, Reniki's doing a wedding in Final Fantasy. Let's do that. Let's do Reniki, and I could actually finish my food. That's all caps. I don't know why I keep on having caps. Reniki Sunshine. There you go. Yes, thank you all for joining here, joining for me today. It was wonderful having you. It was wonderful yapping with y'all. I was able to feel like I got a lot out of thoughts out of my mind, and hopefully it was great for y'all too. Thank you. All right, I will see y'all on Tuesday for some game dev, and if not, I hope you have a great rest of the week, and I will see you on Saturday. All right. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, and I'll see y'all next time. Stay around for the raid. See ya. Bye-bye.